Welcome to the Backlash, a weekly discussion about America's awakening. That's not what I was supposed to say.
It's not?
No, it's a weekly exploration of America's awakening. That's much better.
Well, who changed that?
I did.
That's not my fault. You can't blame me.
I'm not going to blame you. You've had a rough week. I'm not going to blame you for anything. I'm going to be real nice. I am your host, Rebecca Hargraves, joined as always by Mr. Dave Riley. How are you doing, Dave?
Hello. I'm doing okay.
Yeah.
Hanging in there.
Yeah.
Having kids is like living inside of a petri dish.
I know. Watching you right now try not to talk about your pooping situation is painful. I know you want to talk about it.
I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. Like, is it neurovirus? Or are we just like constantly reinfecting ourselves with this thing?
I don't know.
Or is it that I like got into my my daughter's rice cakes and like I ate 3 of them and maybe that's what's doing it to me?
You got into them like a dog?
Yeah. the cheddar cheese ones. They're very good. They're very good.
This is what everybody's here for. Welcome, Cameron. How are you doing?
The sun is shining, but oh, I screwed that up. The sun is shining, but the ice is slippery.
Oh yeah. Okay. Here too. It was this morning. It was.
It's been foggy all day.
It was a little nice this morning when I was dropping off Emily.
No, it wasn't. It's been foggy.
That is a line from The Shadow. I'm given to understand that some of the folks in the audience like my movie recommendation. So that is Alec Baldwin from the Shadow, early 90s.
A more handsome man has never existed, except for Mel Gibson, than Alec Baldwin in the 90s.
He was a good-looking cat. That's for sure.
Yeah. Even like post-murder Alec Baldwin is still pretty.
I was going to say he's the guy that shot the person on Rust, right?
He's the guy that shot the person on The Thing.
Yeah.
That is right. We bring you the news on this show.
Bro.
You can find us on X at Real Backlash, our website, thebacklash.net. Support us on subscribestar.com/thebacklash, patreon.com/thebacklash. Send your super chats that will be read live to my YouTube channel, to our YouTube channel at Real Backlash, or the people that get that take the least cut. You can send it to thebacklash.net/super chat. That is where we can get
Power
most
Chat.
money.
The Power Chat.
The Power Chat
live, I think, has the lightest cut.
And it's not
of
so
anybody.
bad. It's not so
Because
bad.
even entropy, it's not so bad, but there's like a bunch of weird stuff that has to happen with entropy. You pay the money, and then it gets like converted to Canadian dollars.
Entropy is a nightmare to work with for all parties.
And then it gets converted again to Bitcoin. So you wind up losing like 3% in each swap.
yeah.
It's goofy.
Please subscribe to our YouTube because we are going to, I know I've been saying this for a long time, but we are actually going to be exclusively streaming on our YouTube channel, on our Rumble channel. Our YouTube channel is at Real Backlash. Please follow us there. I don't want to miss you viewers when we start moving our stream over there. And our Rumble account, that is Backlash Podcast. Find all of our links, Instagram, TikTok, everywhere to find us is thebacklash.net/subscribe. Thank you so much for joining us today. A big thanks to ODGG Supply, Blankie Mode. Go Blankie Mode. We have blankies right now.
They've got blankies.
Before the show, we have to turn off the heater in here, so we just like...
They got helmets. They got
helmets. They got cool
carriers.
rucksacks. They got all sorts of stuff. Above Time coffee roasters. That is small, crafted, hand batched, small hand batch,
Small batch, hand roasted.
handcrafted.
Handcrafted.
I was
hand
almost there. I'm
roasted.
sorry, Above Time. You guys are the best. You
Pro
power
white.
the show.
Non-kosher.
Non-kosher.
If you're interested
Coffee.
in having non-kosher coffee, you can do that with Above Time coffee.
I need some coffee. That is what I need right now. Atlas Bullion. You'll need them as as silver continues to go to God knows what.
Bank
silver
of
goes
America.
to 1,000.
Bank of America just came out with a new report saying silver's going to 308.
Oh, 309. We talked about it last week.
Yeah, that's like
Crazy.
triple.
Yeah,
where it's at, or double.
Idaho Tallow, that is skincare without endocrine disruptors, and Antelope Hill, publishers of white positive literature. The Backlash event that I was going to do in St. Louis, I was able to find one venue in Florissant, and I was like,
Is that the ghetto?
yeah, I'm like, under no circumstances am I doing this in Florissant. So now we are open to any city in this big, wide country. We will go anywhere. It's probably going to be a little bit later than April, but I'm open to suggestions. We would like it to be some sort of hub where it's easy for people to get into the city, get into the venue. Maybe we could price out a block of rooms.
I'm thinking of a place.
Is it here?
Yeah, it's called Coeur d'Alene.
I think it's just...
There's a resort.
I know. I just think it's going to be too difficult.
Conference rooms.
Okay.
We can rent a boat, go out on the lake, have a nice time.
It would be a lot easier
We
for
could
me.
even go. They have Farragut State Park. We could rent out the state park.
We are in
Go
discussions for what to do about this event, but it is going to happen. I'm all motivated to make this happen. Please give us ideas. Kansas City has also been suggested as a possible place, which might be a good idea. The Midwest, you know. But yeah, shoot me an email. Find me on Twitter to send me a DM, blondes_tweets, and we can work this out together.
Yes.
And okay, so you have this in the bans. What people actually care about. This makes me suicidal.
I know, right? It's always one of those things because we get so caught up in our echo chambers, in our little bubbles. You like a tweet about gold or silver or something, and then all of a sudden, every single fucking thing that you see is about gold or silver, or about the ICE agent, or about this or that. And so this is the Google search terms or Google trends from this week. And we're going to be talking about Renee Good. We're going to be talking about ICE. We're not going to be talking about the Chicago Bears, but that was the number one thing this past week, and it's not even close. The amount of people searching about the unrest in Minneapolis is like peanuts. No one cares. People do care about sports ball. Sports ball big. I had my priest texted me, and he said the Bears won, and I'm like, won what? What Bears?
Is this a hockey
What
team?
sport is? Yeah, was that hockey? I had no clue. I had to go to confession.
Maybe this should be the silver lining. People shouldn't be deeply involved in politics. They shouldn't.
People shouldn't be deeply involved in sports. What are you talking about?
Of course they should.
Opposite.
Of course
it's a
they
false tribalism that
No,
happens too.
I understand. I'm not an advocate for sports ball.
Okay.
Or N-word ball. I'm not. But this is an indication to me that when we seize the narrative, that people are going to follow blindly because they're clearly retarded. Yeah. And that's kind of reassuring to me.
True. Okay.
I bet Cameron hates this.
Leaders lead, followers follow.
I like the Bears. I'm a big Mike Ditka fan.
I think Cameron is the one with oppositional defiance disorder.
Please tell me, Dave, that you know who Mike Ditka is.
Who?
Oh man.
How? Who? What?
Google him.
Mike.
It's all right. It's not important. We can move on, but you should know who he is.
This guy, he's the coach. Is he a coach?
He's an icon.
Bro, I don't know. You want to talk about...
Don't remember that SNL skit, Da Bears?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I think that's dating us. Maybe you a little bit more. By the way, is it your birthday today?
I don't know. Is it?
Oh, I see. I think we forgot.
We did forget, but we knew.
It's my birthday next week.
You're not supposed to know these things. Rebecca must have has spied on me again. I try to give her as limited information as I can because she's always trying to glean more and more about my personal life, and I just can't give her anything.
Why? I just want to know some things. Just give me one thing.
I'm not giving you anything, including my birthday.
Well,
You're not
it's
getting
today,
it.
so...
Somebody in the live chat's like, I bet he's a tight end, isn't he? Or I bet he has a tight end.
Ayo.
Objection, leading the witness.
Yeah, really. And then you have this Trump gives the middle finger. This was dementia.
Oh my God. I woke up this morning and I saw the news. Donald Trump, he visited the Ford factory, I guess, on some sort of like a tour. He's trying to promote business and all this. And so some guy that worked at Ford, started like yelling at him. It's like, you're a pedophile protector, blah, blah, blah. And Donald Trump like looks at him and he mouths, fuck you, to this guy. And then he gives him the finger. And the video is just incredible. The AI assist is...
It sounds like it's coming out of your laptop.
It is.
There we go.
And that's fine, because we'll probably get a content strike if we play it too long.
I know,
But
right.
anyway, yeah, the AI-assisted video is just so funny. Just, fuck you. It's great.
Good for him. I'm just joking. That's
And Nick was right, by the way, last night. The issue with the Epstein stuff isn't that he was a pedophile. The issue is that he's an Israeli spy. And by the way, the women were like 17 years old.
yeah.
He wasn't going around with like 5-year-old kids, right? So just,
There is an important distinction to
I
be
feel
made
like
here.
people have gotten very lost in the sauce with the Epstein conversation, and it's become about, oh, well, he's bad because he's a pedophile. It's like, no, he's bad because he was like an intelligence hub working for CIA, Mossad, whoever else, and was like directing global events and then blackmailing our politicians to support Israel. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Not that the other stuff is good. It's not, but you see what I'm saying.
Is it hebophilia? I always forget. That's a little problematic.
Hebophobia?
Hebophilia.
I'm a hebophobic.
I believe you.
I don't know what that means.
People might be wondering, what hard-hitting topics are they going to discuss tonight on the Backlash? And let me tell you, the first topic in my mind was we have to talk about this Pearl and Anna Kasparian debate. And you may say, Blonde, I know you have personal beef with Pearl because you rage tweeted yourself into labor with your second child. We were in a horrible Twitter spat, and I got so angry that my contractions ramped up and I went into labor. Wow. Could have been unrelated.
Wow.
I do hate Pearl, but this has gotten so much viral play. And there's this new channel, World War Debate. Are you familiar with this? Apparently, the entire thing is just
Debates.
blood sport style debates.
Oh.
They're very lowbrow.
Oh, very good.
And Gavin McInnes is doing some kind of commentary.
Who's backing them?
I have no idea. Their YouTube channel is small, but it looks like
World War Debate. Is this it?
yes, but it looks like they have a lot of investment because of the stage and the audio is good. There's some money behind this. I think it's a good idea.
People. Oh, Ben Swan. He's an
I'm
interesting
unfamiliar with
fella.
this guy. What's his deal?
Ben Swan. He was like a local TV reporter that I'm pretty sure was one of the first people to do Epstein stuff, and then he got fired.
Oh,
He's a good guy.
I don't know any of these
Interesting.
people. I just Gavin.
I know Sam Tripoli. He's he's the comedian. But
No matter.
The Rechtenwald Kestenbaum debate was actually good. I learned things. from
Did you
that.
watch this?
No, I just saw clips.
Okay, they are quite long.
Yeah, 30 minutes, a 30-minute debate.
Oh, yeah.
right?
But it comes up as a 7-hour video because it's multiple. It's multiple debates, and then they do like a brief intermission. So the clip that has gone the most viral, let's pull up one, is Pearl just choking spectacularly. This is painful to watch. I will only watch this once.
Are you just making things up? Pearl, what are you doing? Like, seriously. Next question.
Bro, what's happening?
She's just having a response.
Is she having a stroke?
No,
How
she
many
just,
women die every year during childbirth?
Not many.
This country has the highest maternal mortality rate of any developed country. So a lot of women do die as a result of pregnancy and childbirth, yes.
What's going on?
Pearl isn't saying anything.
That's the moderator. Yeah.
Oh my God.
It was a bummer for Pearl. I mean, they're both wrong about so much. So we're going to talk about why this went viral in a second, but I want to talk a little bit about some of the stuff that Pearl said because I've done a bunch of research.
She
on it
actually
before.
said something?
Pearl, she had a bunch of prepared statements, but it's all of the stuff that she has said in previous debates. She did that famous debate with Trent Horn last year where she also got smoked. Anyway, she says that 30% of children are the result of paternity fraud. And I hate it when people say this. This is from a study where men sought out paternity testing because they had suspicions. It's obvious selection bias. I did a ton of research on this a few years ago. So there are tons, all ranging in the 1 to 1.9% range for misattributed paternity in high confidence situations, even non-marital ones. That's when you don't think that your spouse is banging somebody else. This one from Sweden, which has a huge feminist population and some of the highest body counts in Europe, is a genetic cohort study from 1930 to 2020. In turn, this was consistent with a general decline in the occurrence of misattributed paternity from 3.2% for children born in the 1930s to 0.9% for children born in the 2010. So paternity fraud has actually gone down, probably as a result of the availability of paternity testing. Can you pull up two?
Did you want to talk about this?
No, that's the
That's
most
just where the
important
study
part.
comes from.
That's
Yeah.
the study, if you guys want to get into it. And number two, we have reason to believe, okay, so there's evidence that even in the sluttiest European nations, misattributed paternity amongst the married is under 1%. Although this is in Sweden, it includes all races, all socioeconomic backgrounds. If you're married, middle class, white, the rate of misattributed paternity is likely in the range of 1 to 2 per thousand. So under 1%.
Can you explain this to me like I'm for Grok? What are we talking about? Misattributed paternity? This is like you're married and then your wife cheats on you and
No,
has a
if
baby
the
with
man
another person?
suspects that the child is not his, he can get a paternity test to see if it is his child. So
Okay.
what Pearl said in this debate is that nearly 1/3 of children are not the child of the supposed father, which is an outrageous statistic.
That's crazy.
Well, I see her peddling this all over the time. It's just fueling the manosphere, and it is not true. I mean, 1 in 1,000, 2 in 1,000 chance of the child not being yours is still astronomically high. But what she's saying is absolutely untrue. It's easy to disprove. She also peddled this divorce rate statistic that I keep hearing all the time, that 50% of marriages end in divorce. That's an outrageous statistic. So the divorce rate for people in the 2000s is 15%, 30% from those married in the 90s. And this includes parties divorced more than one time, heathen cosmopolitans, and people of every race. Are the rates for upstanding white people in their first marriage under 10%? What about Christians? I mean, there's no way to get this data, but I suspect that it is much lower. And 10% divorce rate is also astronomically high. But if men are looking into the world and they're like, do I want to have a family? Is it worth dating women? And they're listening to Pearl, they're like, well, there's a 1/3 chance that I'm going to raise a child that's not mine. And there's a 50% chance that she's going to divorce rate me. So I'm watching this and I'm wondering, why did this get so much viral play? Because it's obviously slop. Anna Kasparian, although I respect and fear her, I don't know why.
We should get her on the show.
I tried. There's no way. She's never gonna come on the show. Anna Caspar, she seems smart, but she also seems, she's boss babing it. She doesn't want kids. She is married.
Yeah.
And she's
She's
feminist.
a libtard. Yeah.
Yeah, she's right on Israel though.
She's right about Israel, but she's wrong about like 90% of
I know.
everything else.
But I'm sympathetic to her because of the Israeli issue.
All right.
And then Pearl, who is approaching 30, not having kids, and shacking up with a black guy, is also telling people.
She's with a black guy, right?
Yeah, and historically. She's also telling people not to get married. And so I'm watching this and I'm like, none of these people are really advocates for white nuclear family formation, yet it's getting all of this viral play. And these are people that are informing the manosphere, that are informing the space on marriage and children. And I kind of was just sucked into it based on that. It's like it's a sign of the times. So I know everybody's talking about this. I know it's slop. I'm aware. I know Cameron has nothing to say about this. But Dave, do you have something to say about this? Do you think that this tells a greater tale about the problems in society?
I don't understand why anybody is like tuning in to watch a couple of dumb bitches argue with each other.
That's fair.
I just, like that's where I'm at with this whole thing. Yeah, and neither of them are right wing, or at least like Christian, Catholic. That neither of them have like the correct positions. And what is up with Pearl? Like she just had a stroke on stage and couldn't speak.
I don't know. She's probably nervous.
I mean, like see, and there's a lot of content creators out there where if you took their laptop away from them and you turned the chat GPT that they have running off, they would have nothing to say.
Right.
They don't have any original thoughts of their own. And that's just what Pearl kind of strikes me as. Pearl and I have gotten into it on the timeline a couple times. I don't really give a shit. But man,
Yeah.
don't do that. Don't, if you're going to debate, like, my God, practice
I know.
something, anything. I've done things with like candidates for office, like mock debates where we'll set them up and grill them so that they're ready for something like this. Clearly, she was unprepared.
Well, I think she was prepared. It's just
No, all the statistics that that you're saying she put out were wrong. So no, she was not prepared.
And she also might not just be very good at a debate.
Do you think she's an op?
Yeah, I think it's possible that she's an op. I mean, what does she do? Her entire purpose is to stop white men from getting married and having children. And then she's acting like she's doing it for the benefit of men. An unmarried, childless, misogynating woman telling white men not to get married.
Yeah, that's an op.
And then she has she had a lot of institutional investment from the beginning. It might have just been her father, but I'm highly suspicious of her. I think the whole thing is weird. And her mom is a senator, I think.
Really?
Something
in the
like
United
that.
States?
Yeah.
Or in Botswana?
She's a senator in
wherever her
Botswana.
boyfriend is from.
Cameron, I know that this is not a meaty topic, but do you have anything that you want to say before we move on about this?
I don't think so. But I don't understand. What are they debating? What's the subject of the debate?
Just feminism.
I thought we were done debating.
Pro-
I know. I
pro
can't
or
believe we're still doing this.
con? Pro or con? That's it.
I guess so, yeah.
Okay, and so Kasparian's argument was that marriage is an oppressive trap or something.
No, Kasparian is a pro-marriage feminist.
Without kids.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. I can't keep track, so no, I don't have any.
Before we move on to this ICE manslaughter, for the transition, did you see what I put here? I just put chick stuff.
Great.
Idaho tallow.
Yeah.
That's not really fair. There's a lot of man stuff.
It's a very manly company. I mean, a lot of guys use this stuff because they're concerned that the soap and skincare products that they're using
Turn of the Frogs guy.
are shrinking their testicles and ruining their testosterone because a lot of the fake fragrances, they do that. Cologne, all that, all of that stuff is not good for you. But North Idaho Tallow Company is different. They keep it simple. They've got grass-fed beef tallow that they turn into skincare products, soap, lip balm, candles. Actually, they've got candles, and this month they've got a signature gift box. If you want to get something for a loved one on Valentine's Day, you can do that at idahotallow.com. Proud sponsor of the show, proud sponsor of Slop, apparently. But here we are.
I'm so unfair to the sponsors.
Yeah, it's okay.
Another,
You see, people feel bad for the sponsors that they're not getting their bang for their bucks, and then they
So
go
then
out
they
and
buy stuff.
they buy stuff, and it works.
another
works.
subject this week that's been debated to death. Devin Stack did an excellent stream on this that I think really captures the sentiment about the ICE agent manslaughter question mark. For those of you that are unaware, an ICE agent shot and killed 37-year-old Renee Good last Wednesday during a federal enforcement operation in Minneapolis. Federal officials have said that the agents were attempting to make arrests when the woman tried to use her vehicle as a weapon against officers, prompting an ICE agent to fire in self-defense. Can we pull up 6? I don't want to get too deep into the logistics of it. I don't think that this is the most important part of the story. Okay, she's ordered out of her car. She refuses. She backs up. She drives forward into an ICE agent. ICE agent pulls out gun only when she starts moving forward into his body. Self-defense. Case closed.
Boom, boom, boom. Shot 3 times, right?
Yeah.
3 shots.
And then it does appear that he has had some internal bleeding. That is 7. This came out this morning, I think. Breaking, the ICE agent who fatally shot Renee Good on January 7th in Minneapolis, Jonathan Ross, suffered internal bleeding to the torso following the incident, according to 2 U.S. officials briefed on his medical condition. I mean, okay, it didn't look that serious. I don't think that he had to kill her, but also, and this is where the story is on this one, I don't care. I don't care that she's dead. She was our just a traitorous white woman. She was our enemy. Do I care if she gets wiped out by a cold, by a bolt of lightning, by whatever? No, I don't care. I just don't care. Do I think the ICE agent could have avoided it? Probably, but I don't care. When people were talking about this, I just could not get attached to the story. Everybody had an opinion about this. And I was just like, why can I not develop an opinion about it? And I figured it out. It's because I don't care about her. I don't care about the ICE agent. Let's read this tweet. Who was she? Renee Good is the epitome of the modern day white liberal woman, 37 years old, lost custody of her 2 older children, fled to Canada after Trump won in 2024. Career as a poet, her poetry sucks, by the way, moved to Minneapolis from Canada to fight for the rights of illegal aliens, enrolled her only child, the only child she has custody of in Southside Family Charter School, whose mission is to put social justice first, prioritize involving kids in political and social action. Through her involvement with the school, joined ICE Watch, a national coalition of activists dedicated to disrupting ICE raids, lost her life while obstructing ICE. Yeah, I mean, what did she expect? She went looking for trouble and she found it. So what's the problem? But then, can you pull up 9? This ICE agent also hate his face. Jonathan Ross, Minneapolis ICE agent who shot Renee Good, married a Filipina and brought her over from the Philippines, where she became a citizen in 2012 and is in the process of petitioning her family, AKA chain migration.
Oh, wow.
So I'm hearing, I know, right?
Unbelievable.
I hate all parties involved. I'm hearing Judge Knapp. I'm hearing all sorts of people saying, this is a clear-cut case of manslaughter, and he needs to be in jail for the rest of his life. And I think that everybody that has a strong opinion about this is kind of missing the point. That we can't really trust ICE, but our reflexive, fuck the police attitude that we've carried over from high school shouldn't really be informing our political opinions and our opinions on the things that are going on right now. Also, we shouldn't care about this. The story here is that things like this are going to continue to happen on a much wider scale as people clash with the military and the police force, which, this is just an inevitability.
It's incredible to me too. The number of people with the wrong take on this whole thing. Like, I was even arguing with, and I've known him for a long time. He's done some very good work. I invited him on the show. We'll see if he takes us up on it. But Father Paul Kramer, Father Kramer is just going nuts with the all caps boomer posting over on his Facebook page. ICE terrorism against U.S. citizens. This U.S. citizen was harassed and arrested for driving while Hispanic. Blah, blah, blah. And I mean, like, there's another post here that he put, the Trump regime is turning the United States into a coast-to-coast prison with the all caps. And I'm like, oh, all right. Like, we can talk about Palantir. We can talk about the construction of this digital prison that we're, kind of working our way through here. But come on. She was a commie. She was a lesbian. She was indoctrinating her kid. She probably would have transed
her kid.
the kid
Right.
if this was left to go on long enough uninterrupted. And furthermore, like when you look at all of these protesters, I don't know if I put these clips. Did I? There are so many clips of these crazy women that are in Minneapolis talking about squaring off against ICE. Here's one of the videos that came across my feed. This psycho.
If they're gonna murder us while calling us fucking bitches, then I think we need to be bigger fucking bitches. Fuck ICE.
Bro.
Lord.
Holy shit. Have you people learned nothing from, like, I don't know, Randy Weaver, Waco, the Covenant Sword and Arm of the Lord? Like, declaring that you are going to war with the federal government is like a very easy way to get yourself burnt alive.
I don't think this woman is a student of history.
No, I don't think so either. And all of these women actually are just psycho.
This is a video of Renee Good, right?
We've got a video. No, this isn't Renee Good. This is people that have been deciding to shave their heads in solidarity with Renee Good. This comes to us from our friend Homath. Let's take a watch.
Please do this one. I really need to know. He's asking why women are shaving their heads over Renee Good. That is the woman who got terminally oppressed by ICE for defending Somali scammers, otherwise known as George Floyd. Here's the answer. The drawings are crappy in the interest of not making the videos take forever. So first of all, hair is a sign of fertility. Everybody loves women with long, healthy hair, and women with short and broken and messed up hair are disgusting. That's actually a sign of poor nutrition. So let's say it's ancient times and we're living in straw huts again. If these women are not being adequately provided for, their hair might break because of starvation. Okay, number 2, the police are like dad. You call them for help, and when they don't do what you want, then they're like mean dad. So when women express themselves politically by saying, I want a pony and infinity Democrat votes, dad, the police, can either say, okay, sweetie, whatever you want, and then they say, hooray, I will continue to be a spoiled brat, and nothing changes. Or dad can say no, in which case he becomes mean dad, and then she removes the signs of her fertility. Withholding fertility is the primary weapon of the Floyd. So removing my own hair means I'm withholding my sexuality because you didn't do what I want. Kind of like most marriages. But now women are married to the state, so they do it in public instead of at home.
Yeah, okay. I completely
Simple.
agree. Simple. That's why you can't trust a bald woman who doesn't have cancer or alopecia. I'll give her that.
Oh my God. But yeah, I mean, like we've got people out here in Minneapolis that are like straight up Antifa. Let's take a look at this video real quick.
Good morning, Minnesota. My name's Kyle, and I'm Antifa, live from the heart of Minneapolis. I've been on the front lines since the start of this. I am the individual who called out that Nazi the day before they came and murdered Renee Good. We are at an inflection point here. This week is important. Over the course of the last 24 hours, an additional 1,500 or more ICE agents have been sent to Minnesota. We found them checking into hotels all over the city, and they have begun door-to-door campaigns in areas of our city, kicking in front doors, pointing long guns at people's faces. Minnesota, we have castle doctrine. To every patriot out there, we will reject this at our doors. And to every armed citizen, you have a choice to make whether you allow this to stand in our community or not.
Like, when did Antifa become like to every red-blooded patriot out there? What are these people doing? And the boomers, some of them, Judge Knapp, Father Kramer, a few others, they're falling for this stuff. And it's like, what are you doing? These people are violent commies. Last time I checked, the only good communist is a dead communist. So if ICE wants to go door to door and start shooting bitches in their Hondas, making me mom die in the Honda, go for it, bud. Like, I really don't give a shit.
That was a deep cut right there.
I mean, maybe I'm wrong about this, and granted, if they were coming after me, I would be like, this is the worst thing ever.
Yeah.
But these are commies.
You wouldn't put yourself in that situation.
No.
Cameron, as always, tell us why our analysis of this is superficial and this is representative of a larger societal problem.
Part of the issue that frustrates this conversation is that Americans revel in the binary. You're either Republican or you're a Democrat. You're either for small government or you're for big government. This sort of false frame, as I like to say, or false dichotomy. And unfortunately, that kind of logic ignores context. Context is everything, folks. Just because, for example, immigration under certain circumstances may be beneficial to the country. For example, say we bring in high IQ, people with specialized skills to, I don't know, scale a space program, doesn't mean that all forms of immigration at all times are great, right? Just because small government in a general sense may be befitting to the United States in a given context doesn't mean it's always the appropriate framework. It doesn't mean it's always the appropriate solution. And a lot of these people who become steadfast zealots for one side or the other, they don't know anything about the history of their own country. And fortunately, folks, that's where I come in. So, for example, Thomas Jefferson and Alexander Hamilton are widely considered as standing on poles of this debate. Alexander Hamilton believed in a stronger state. He wanted to create a national bank. And on the other side, you had the agrarian nationalists of sorts. Thomas Jefferson, he wanted a smaller state. He did not want a central bank. But Thomas Jefferson also, as president, gave us the Insurrection Act. Why did he give us the Insurrection Act? Because the Insurrection Act was necessary to substantiate federal power in the event that you had an insurrection. And it just so happened that a man named Aaron Burr threatened to start a new nation at the time that Thomas Jefferson was president. That became the Insurrection Act. And the Insurrection Act, in my judgment, is one of the cornerstones of presidential and executive power and authority in the United States. Now, with that backdrop, and bear in mind that countless presidents have used the Insurrection Act. And some of our best presidents like Dwight Eisenhower, I think even JFK, used the Insurrection Act. It is very definitely a part of presidential power. They used it when they needed to flex executive power, particularly when there are emergencies. Now, what are we facing today? We have tens of millions of illegal immigrants. I've floated the number of 50 million. I cannot substantiate that number. It may be higher than that number. We do not know. But why are we in this position? Are we in this position because of a tyranny of central government, a big government surveillance state? No, we are in this position because federal law was not adhered to, because the federal government has been anemic. And the Trump administration, quite correctly, I might add, was elected to directly solve that problem. And that is why ICE exists. And that is why ICE is in Minnesota, of all places. Minnesota, a little far away from that other small state on the Pacific coast called California. Gee, how is it the case that in Minnesota and in Idaho and Montana and all manner of states across this country, whether you're talking about the South, you're talking about the Midwest, we have an immigration problem because federal law has not been enforced. There's been no teeth. There's been no flex to executive authority. And so what you're seeing now unfold, and unfortunately, it becomes fatal, and it's going to intensify. It's going to escalate. What we've experienced is a breakdown in authority. And this is something I've talked about at length. We are not on the cusp of a panopticon. It's a global surveillance state flexed from Washington, D.C. No, we are experiencing quite the opposite. And how do I know that? Because when you have a totalitarian state, what do you not see? You don't see protesters. You don't see bedlam in the street because those people are crushed. They disappear. They vanish. And nobody says anything about it because you're under the reign of a totalitarian state. We do not see that, ladies and gentlemen. What do we see? Flagrant abuse of the law, flagrant abuse, flagrant refusal to abide by even basic common dignity, by a sense of neighborliness. All of that is gone in favor of anarchy. And anarchy is flouting the law. It is directly provoking the authorities. That's what we're seeing happen. What does all of this mean? It means that we're in a kind of power vacuum. And that's a very dangerous environment to be in. It's something I've talked about at length. It has been called a state of exception. And what that means is you're going to see more anarchy, more racial clash in the street, more confrontation between protesters and federal law enforcement until somebody consolidates power. Now, it is certainly precarious to say which side will. I don't know. My suspicion is, and what I've advocated on this platform, is that it is going to be our side that seizes power. Because frankly speaking, the left has been in power since the 1960s. And though we call this thing the Republican Party a conservative party, it is nothing of the kind, which is why you're listening to people like Napolitano who have lost the plot, who think that all libertarian all the time, irrespective of context, is the right solution. Just says any kind of immigrant equals all kinds of immigrant means immigration all the time in any circumstance is appropriate. That is a failure to understand, to adjust to the situation at hand. We're in a very dangerous environment, folks, and you're going to see, as I have discussed, as we have forecast on this platform, more escalation, more anarchy until somebody gets and consolidates power. That's where we're headed.
So true. And the anarchy is being promoted by who? How is it that
Jake Tapper. No,
every single time you start digging to the bottom of these things, you find a Jewish guy? So this is
or a Jewish woman.
sometimes a Jewish woman. Okay, we're very equitable here on the Backlash. Want to make sure that men and women are getting their equal share, equal time share. But so there was a give, send, go that was put up for the ICE agent, which, by the way, now that we know he's a race mixer, we shouldn't be donating to that. Send in your super chats to the backlash.net/superchat. But in the original version of the give, send, go, it mentioned that the mayor of Minneapolis was Jewish, which prompted Jake Tapper to put this tweet out. And then a subsequent, apparently, they've stealthily deleted the clause with no acknowledgement. Dude, the chats. Permabola, Tony Rigatoni. Let's go. Good job, guys. But here it is. And if you go back and you look at, like, was it Emma Goldberg and the early anarchist movement, the Haymarket riots in the late 1800s, go dig to the bottom of those rabbi holes, and you know exactly what you're going to find. And so Cameron's right. You got to be careful. These are perilous times, and that's why you need to go to our friends at odggsupply.com. They've got all kinds of stuff that you could possibly need if you live in a place like Minneapolis or Portland or Seattle or California. God knows what can happen. These things, these mass riots, these crowds of people, they can change like lightning and turn violent, and you don't want to be unprepared in a situation like that. So visit ODGG Supply. They've got plate carriers, they've got helmets, they've got rucksacks. Yes, they've got blankies. They've got everything that you could possibly need to get prepared for what is coming. And what is coming is not a golden age of peace, but it's going to be more civil unrest, because these people, the leftists, these communists, they've lost the plot. They're emboldened. They've never been told no by anybody in their life, including their fathers.
Mean daddy.
Yeah, and so you got to be prepared. Know what time it is. Know what hour it is. ODGGsupply.com.
I just want to say, I'm sorry, Dave. Finish your thought.
I was going to say ODGGsupply.com. Use promo code Backlash25, and you will get free shipping on all your orders.
I just wanted to say one more thing before we move off this topic, because Dave used the word communism, and that is the appropriate term. And certainly communism associated with a kind of Jewish Bolshevism is at work in the streets of America. But what specifically does communism mean? Because that's thrown around a lot, and I don't think people really have a grasp of it. There's a famous book that was written several hundred years ago called The Social Contract. It was written by Rousseau, Jean-Jacques Rousseau. And at the beginning of that book, there is a very famous phrase in which Rousseau says, "Every man was born free and he is everywhere in chains." Now, what does that statement mean? It means that human beings, bereft of any authority in the form of institutions, governments, right, executive authority, law enforcement, these kinds of things, which are the bedrock of society. And remember that the people that actually wrote the Constitution, the founding ethnos, as I like to say, what I'm about to say is exactly what they thought. The precondition for freedom is law and order. If you do not have law and order, you do not have freedom. Anarchy is not freedom. It is slavery. And ultimately, what Rousseau represented was the coming of the communists, the Jacobins during the French Revolution. What did they do? They tried to level society by destroying institutions, and they used the guillotine to do it. That is what you're seeing in the streets of America. So all of you folks out there who think that the government is an evil that needs to disappear, well, that isn't what the founding fathers of this country thought. It certainly isn't what the founding ethnos thought. These people all believed that rule of law was the foundation, without which you do not have any freedom. And that's what we see in Chicago. That's what we see in LA. That's what we see in Washington, D.C., and a lot of these big cities that are lawless because we have permitted anarchy, because the federal power, the executive authority or the local authority is weak. It's anemic, and therefore things are disorderly and out of control. That is the antithesis of America, which stood diametrically opposed to the French Revolution. The French Revolution was about communism. It was about destroying institutions. The United States was about creating republican institutions founded on the rule of law, not lawlessness, which is what Rousseau articulated.
Very true. I could not have put that any better. Fuck Jean-Jacques Rousseau. Not a good guy. And people don't even know about like the Paris Commune and all of this stuff that was going on back then. So very important. Dead air.
I know. Well, we've instituted a new format on this show. You guys probably noticed. We're working on it. Let's talk Jerome Powell.
Jay Powell.
Jay Powell. We're going to watch his hostage video in a second, which is painful. But if you're unaware, this week, the DOJ served the Fed with a grand jury subpoena in connection with a criminal investigation into Powell over the renovation of the Federal Reserve office building. As I'm saying this seems more and more absurd. It's just ridiculous. The cost of renovating the Fed Washington headquarters and neighboring building have swelled to $2.5 billion from a previous estimate of $1.9 billion. How is it possible they're spending this much on this renovation? Mr. Trump said in the interview that he could have fixed them up for $25 million and said Powell is either corrupt or incompetent. Considering the bloat of the federal budget, I can't imagine that they care this much about what is the difference here? $600 million. It's like chump change to all of these people. However, in an uncharacteristic manner, Jerome Powell has issued, he just went straight to social media on this one.
Unbelievable. Let's take a look.
87 million views, it says.
Good evening. On Friday, the Department of Justice served the Federal Reserve with grand jury subpoenas, threatening a criminal indictment related to my testimony before the Senate Banking Committee last June. That testimony concerned in part a multi-year project to renovate historic Federal Reserve office buildings. I have deep respect for the rule of law and for accountability in our democracy. No one, certainly not the chair of the Federal Reserve, is above the law. But this unprecedented action should be seen in the broader context of the administration's threats and ongoing pressure. This new threat is not about my testimony last June or about the renovation of the Federal Reserve buildings. It is not about Congress's oversight role. The Fed, through testimony and other public disclosures, made every effort to keep Congress informed about the renovation project. those are pretexts. The threat of criminal charges is a consequence of the Federal Reserve setting interest rates based on our best assessment of what will serve the public, rather than following the preferences of the president. This is about whether the Fed will be able to continue to set interest rates based on evidence and economic conditions, or whether instead monetary policy will be directed by political pressure or intimidation. I have served at the Federal Reserve under 4 administrations, Republicans and Democrats alike. In every case, I have carried out my duties without political fear or favor, focused solely on our mandate of price stability and maximum employment. Public service sometimes requires standing firm in the face of threats. I will continue to do the job the Senate confirmed me to do, with integrity and a commitment to serving the American people. Thank you.
Yeah, obviously this is not about the renovation of the historic Fed buildings.
No. No. And do you remember that this isn't the first time that this has come up?
Haven't we seen enough awkward videos today? We should watch this.
No, we should watch more awkward
painful.
videos. It's
So
painful.
awkward.
We've got Donald Trump was meeting with Jerome Powell in the Fed while they were doing their renovations. And oh my God, you've got to see this
About
if you haven't.
3.1 billion. It went up a little bit or a lot. So the 2.7 is now 3.1.
I'm not aware of that.
Yeah, it just came out.
I haven't heard that from anybody at the Fed.
Yeah, it just came out.
He gets his
Our news had it
glasses.
about 3.1 as well.
3.1.
3.2.
This came from us?
Yes. I don't know who does that.
You're including the Martin renovation. You just added.
Our entire capital.
You just added in a third building is what that is. That's a third building.
Well, no,
including the
but
Martin building.
it's a building that's being built.
No, it was built 5 years ago. We finished Martin 5 years ago.
It's part of the overall work.
But it's not new.
So we're going to take a look. We're going to see what's happening, and it's got a long way. Do you expect any more additional cost overruns?
Don't expect them. We're ready for them, but we have a little bit of a reserve that we may use, but no, we don't. We expect to be finished in 2027.
Oh my God.
We're well along, as you can see.
All right, this is a video, actual footage of 2 men in an old folks' home being forced to speak to each other, even though they hate each other's guts.
Oh my God.
Leaked foot. That is just so painful. I can't put my finger on why that is so painful to watch, but here we are. And then Trump has come out and said some outlandish things about Powell. Let's watch 19 and then 20. These are quick clips.
As you know, the inflation numbers just came out, and we have very low inflation, so that would give Too-Late Powell the chance to give us a nice, beautiful, big rate cut, which would be great for the country, but rates are falling also, and growth is going up. We have tremendous growth numbers, so growth is going up. So I'll be talking about that today in Detroit. It's a big speech, and I can only say that the country's doing well. Well, he's billions of dollars over budget. So he either is incompetent or he's crooked. I don't know what he is, but certainly he doesn't do a very good job.
Wow. Wow.
Good
And
Lord.
so this was yesterday on his way to Detroit, and then he gave another little speech
In
where
Detroit.
he mentioned Powell in Detroit. Let's take a look at that.
Last week, the average 30-year mortgage
Oh, this
dropped
wasn't in
below
Detroit, my bad.
6% for the first time in many
Sure.
years. It's coming down
Was it?
very rapidly, and that's not with the help of the Fed. If I had the help of the Fed, it would be easier. But that jerk will be gone soon. Last week, the average
Yeah.
30-year mortgage dropped
Yeah, that was
below
in
6%
Detroit.
for-
That was
Okay.
in Detroit. He called him a jerk and said that jerk will be gone soon.
Can you pull up this Benny Johnson tweet? So the reason that Trump feels emboldened is this economic update that came out. The numbers out this week solidify it. Experts were wrong. The Panicans lost, and Trump was right again. GDP expected 3.3%. Reality 4.3%. Inflation expected 3.1%. Reality 2.7%. Americans' golden age is in full effect. I want to talk a little bit about why these numbers are bullshit. So GDP surge. Guess how much of this, the entire GDP surge, was from affluent families buying more healthcare?
I don't know.
20%.
Jeez.
Just from upper middle class, wealthy Americans spending more on healthcare.
That's incredible.
Then we have an exports rebound because people were anticipating tariffs. We're now experiencing the export rebound. So that's not going to continue. And then there's a government spending uptick. That's defense and temporary federal outlays. That was like 10% of it. And then other factors are AI related business investments, which is going to continue to experience a cooling effect, and some inventory imports adjustments. So most of this totally invented, is not going to be duplicated, is not a sign of a strong economy. And then inflation, some of this was muted pass-through from tariffs. Those are retailers absorbing some costs rather than hiking their own prices. And then persistent but not accelerating pressures in shelter, food, energy, groceries, and utilities rose.
Wow.
So people are still getting hit with groceries and utilities. It's like, what else do people care about? So I'm not really seeing that these are this is an indicator of a strong economy. Do you know what credit card debt balances are up $24 billion in Q3?
Wow.
That's an incredible statistic. That up 6% year over year. So people are borrowing massively with high interest rates because they're desperate.
And it's not just that people are borrowing more. People are gambling more.
Oh, yeah.
Gambling, this comes from Dominic Michael Trippi. Gambling is now the second fastest growing industry in the United States in terms of GDP growth.
That is incredible.
Unbelievable. And we're seeing it everywhere. Are you getting hit with the ads for Kalshi and for Polymarket? By the way, you can make that check out to the Backlash LLC. No, I'm kidding.
No, we would never.
We would not take their money. And well, the thing is, too, there's something interesting about Polymarket that I saw the other day. Let me see if I can pull that up. But you remember how, let's see, DARPA. You remember how Facebook was actually a DARPA project called LifeLog, right? This Defense Agency Research Projects Association or whatever it is. They were trying to come up with a digital way to track people and to track every facet of their life. And so basically, instead of creating this program that would source all of this information and put it together, they're just like, we're going to make Facebook and they're all going to fill it out on their own. And we'll just ingest all of the data that way. And the day that LifeLog went down is the day that Facebook launched with Mark Zuckerberg as its head. But things are coming out about Polymarket that shows that Polymarket might have also been a DARPA program. This comes from Hunter Weiss. It says the United States Department of Defense's proposed policy analysis market in 2003, which is a part of DARPA's Future Map program, aimed to use prediction markets for forecasting geopolitical events, but was rapidly canceled due to public and congressional backlash over perceived unethical incentives, i.e., profiting from bets on terrorist attacks or assassinations and risks like manipulation or moral hazard. So at the same time as gambling is now one of our fastest growing sectors of GDP, we've also got this new phenomenon of Polymarket. And we'll get into this with the Iran stuff in a little bit, but Polymarket isn't just like a gambling website. It seems like it was a weapon, basically. It's a weapon that was engineered and pioneered by DARPA, the same people that brought us Facebook and a lot of other tech shit that we frankly don't need, does not make the country better. The other thing about the GDP and all of this growth that we're experiencing in America.
Oh, yeah. We showed this in November, but this is still a massive problem and it's contributing to the GDP. Yeah.
Huge. That like one of the number one reasons why our GDP hasn't been negative is because of the, what is it called again? Data centers. Data centers are through the roof nationwide. And the builders love it, the tech companies love it, and the administration loves it because it gives them an artificial boost in GDP because they're stacking computers up in warehouses all across the country. But and it's also propping up NVIDIA and it's propping up the AI bubble, but it's not actually making us more productive. It's not really making any new jobs. It's certainly not helping us reshore manufacturing.
It's not real.
It's fake.
Unlike
the
silver,
the economy's fake.
U.S. Mint suspends sales of silver.
That happened today. Where is that? Is that at the bottom?
It's 24.
24. Come on. Come on.
There we go.
What were we talking about in that production meeting? Yes, breaking, the U.S. Mint has suspended all sales of silver products. Dear valued customer, to maintain transparency and a positive customer experience, we're reaching out to share an important update. Due to metals cost, pricing adjustments are being evaluated across all numismatic products. In addition, rapidly rising silver prices may result in silver numismatic products being temporarily removed from sale while pricing is updated. We're working expeditiously, blah, blah, blah. Basically, we don't have any silver and we can't sell anymore.
Right.
We're fucked.
Yeah.
We've been operating on a silver deficit in this country for 5 years now. And I think Cam can speak to this because he's all over the precious metal stuff, gold, silver, all of that. But Cam, what are we seeing with the economy? What's really going on?
Yeah, so let's take a step back because I know this might seem like a kind of droll, boring, humdrum story. You got two stodgy old white guys embarrassing each other more or less in front of the camera. So who gives a shit? This is a big deal. This might be the most important story that we cover tonight, as crazy as that sounds. A couple things. The president is a bully. He's petty. He's unprofessional and he's spiteful. Do you really want somebody like that as your executive? No. And I can say that from personal experience. And most of you listening, and I know Rebecca and Dave, you've had a boss at some point in your life, we all have, who behaves like that. It's toxic. It's a disaster to have somebody of that caliber steering your ship. You do not want that. You want somebody that is as objective, as steady, as above the phrase as can be, to avoid that kind of embarrassment. And I think that lends itself to explaining why the Trump administration is such a mess, because Trump doesn't conceal who he is. You saw it right there in front of your face. He is a petty, spiteful bully, and he applies that in all circumstances across the world and domestically, and that's why we're in the mess that we're in. So I just want to be clear on that right off the bat. That's what you saw in that exchange, which should never have happened in public. Handle that behind closed doors so that you don't undermine the institution. This is the key point. The word fiat, and for those of you who do not know, we have a fiat currency. Fiat means unbacked, but the etymology of the word actually means let it be done. It's a sort of declaration of value. And people think on that basis that money, in our case, the dollar, is an arbitrary metric. It's an arbitrary denomination of value. That is not the case. Our currency, ladies and gentlemen, is not backed by nothing. It is backed by the full faith and credit of the government. It is backed by your productivity, you as Americans, as consumers, as producers. It is backed by the U.S. military. And ultimately, it is backed by trust in the United States as an institution. And when you see two men squabble about, and you see a president so flagrantly denigrate this man, it undermines that trust. Now, the Fed is the center of the monetary world. And I am certainly no fan of the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve was the back door for the Rothschild banking houses centered in the city of London to get access to the United States. And their agent to do so, just as an aside, was a man named Paul Warburg. And Paul Warburg worked specifically with JP Morgan to co-opt the U.S. government into legitimating a private cartel of banks to regulate and control the monetary system. And why did they do that? To bail out their illegal activities. So I am no fan of the Fed. However, the Fed, for the purposes of the U.S. government and for the purposes of the President of the United States, whose charge it is to maintain that government, the Fed is the linchpin on the monetary supply, on the money system itself, on regulating the economy. And what has happened because of this criminal investigation, and Dave, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it is a criminal investigation into the chairman of the Federal Reserve, is a direct assault on that trusted institution. Now, there's no question that it is a corrupt institution, in my opinion. It's never been audited. We don't really know what's on its books, but the public and specifically the investment world believes in that institution. It trusts that institution. And by extension, it buys U.S. debt. It buys U.S. bonds. It invests in U.S. dollar denominated assets because of this collapse in trust. And that's what you're seeing happen. You're seeing an institution brought to its knees by a bully, by a reckless clown who happens to be president of the United States. That may destroy this institution irreparably. What are the consequences going to be for that? That means you're going to see the destruction of our monetary system and probably the Western financial system writ large. Now, I have argued since the inception of this platform, and Dave and I specifically have talked about this, that the dollar's on its way out as it is. The U.S. government has engineered this in a very self-destructive and reckless fashion. But you're seeing a president who has no sense of self-awareness for the delicacy of the situation that he's in, jumping on that grenade. And remember that when he was elected president, one of the three pillars that motivated millions of people, tens of millions of people to vote for him, was that he was going to get control of the U.S. government, that he was going to fiscally retrench our reckless spending. And the program to do that was the Department of Government Efficiency, headed by one Elon Musk. And though I'm not a huge fan of Elon Musk, he had the right plan. And that plan was to restructure the government. It was to cut massive amounts of spending. And Donald Trump, through negligence, arrogance, lack of self-awareness, he utterly failed in that mission. And so instead of getting his own house in order, he's blaming the Federal Reserve for his problems. That's a load of horse shit, Donald. This is your responsibility to get federal spending under control. It's not the Fed's job to do that. It's your job to do that. And frankly speaking, what Chair Powell has done by standing up to the president is try to check his power. And we need more of that at this moment in time. Unfortunately, the consequence of this is going to be for the Fed irreparable damage to its trust, which is only going to accelerate the financial collapse of the U.S. government. That's what we're looking at. And that is why the price of silver and gold is skyrocketing everywhere. I mean, I think in Shanghai today, the price per ounce of silver has hit $100 an ounce. And I think Dave said earlier, maybe he didn't say it on the show, but what is it? $300 an ounce is what some forecasts are suggesting. This is where we're headed. This is where we're headed because trust has collapsed. And you're seeing that intensified, exacerbated by a reckless, irresponsible bully who happens to be president of the United States.
Yep, here it is, $309 per ounce or even higher in 2026. And, there's been a lot of talk about gold. I mean, gold is closer to 5,000 than 4,000 now. I mean, is it going to go to 10? I mean, like, where is this thing going? And it's interesting, too. Somebody pointed this out to me. Project 2025, one of the explicit things that it said was exploring alternatives to the Federal Reserve System, including the elimination of the Federal Reserve and the implementation of free banking. Now, I think there's a lot of people on the right, people that have read G. Edward Griffin's Creature from Jekyll Island, people that follow Bill Still, this has been going on for a long, long time. And I think we all want the Federal Reserve to be abolished. But the way in which he's going about doing it is so reckless. And, and this is something that we talked about a little bit earlier. In China, the government, the evil Chinese Communist Party, told their citizens to do what they can to get 10 ounces of gold each per household. So China was trying to prep its citizens. Here we are over in America, and what are we doing? We're gambling. Mm-hmm. We're doing goofy nonsense on these apps, gambling on sports. And people have no clue the magnitude of what this would actually look like if they were going to abolish the Fed. Like, people need to be made aware of that before you do it.
Well, what would it look like? What would this implementation of free banking look like?
It depends. It depends. And the problem is that one of the reasons why I'm skeptical of this is obviously Project 2025 was written by the same people that wrote Project Esther, which was how the federal government can crack down on anti-Semitism, right? So is this actually about doing better for the American people, or is this, once again, a plan to enrich a very small, less than 1% of the population, to enrich them and leave the rest of us behind? Because
it's not. You're right, Dave. It's I think the word plan is overused. Plan means that they have a specific program, that they have envisioned a specific outcome. These are just kleptocrats that are squeezing the system dry, a system that is emaciated, a system that's hollowed out, and they're squeezing whatever is left out of that system. And let's be very, very clear about this. Donald Trump was interviewed recently, and I put a link to this in the Telegram chat, and he was asked by a set of reporters about limits or checks on his power. I don't know if you guys saw this, but you should play it if you can bring it up, Dave. In just a moment.
Here we go.
Ahead and play.
Whoops.
Is there anything that could stop you if you wanted to?
Yeah, there's one thing: my own morality, my own mind. It's the only thing that can stop, and that's
law.
very good. I don't need international law. I'm not looking to hurt people.
Do you feel your administration needs to abide by international law on the global stage?
Yeah, I do. I do. But it depends what your definition of international law is. You mean in Greenland?
That's
because you needed them at the time.
In the 1951 agreement, though, it says the United States can reopen these bases anytime you want. You could send as many troops as you want, and you haven't done it. How come?
Because I want to do it properly.
And properly means own it?
Really, it is. To me, it's ownership. Ownership is very important.
Why is ownership important here?
Because that's what I feel is psychologically needed for success. I think that ownership gives you a thing that you can't do, whether you're talking about a lease or a treaty. Ownership gives you things and elements that you can't get from just signing a document that you can have a base.
Unreal.
The reason I wanted to play that clip is because this is not just about kleptocracy. It's not just about theft. It's also about entitlement. It's also about arrogating power to yourself. You're listening to a president who, when asked, do you see any checks on your power on the world stage? Is there anything that could stop you? The president says, my own morality, my own mind. That's the only thing that can stop me. Basically, I have no limits. There are no limits on my power. There are no constraints. And what you're hearing from Donald Trump, ladies and gentlemen, is the way the entire elite cadre in the United States and Western Europe think. They think that they have every right to squeeze the system, to use it against you, to lie and cheat, and do whatever it takes to keep their greedy hands on as much money as possible. And this is exactly what Donald Trump has done, enriching himself since being in power, right? Literally profiting as a family estate from his time as chief executive. This is the problem. These people don't think that there are any consequences for their actions. And that is what we've seen in the first 12 some months of the Trump administration, is it not? That's the lesson that these people have not learned, that you can't arbitrarily go into other people's countries and arrest world leaders. You can't arbitrarily bully the chairman of the Federal Reserve as an institution or what have you without consequences. There are consequences. And the theme of this year, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be, we're going to start feeling those consequences. We're going to start seeing the collateral damage of this recklessness and this lack of a sense of self-awareness based on limitations. That's what 2026 is going to be all about.
100%.
Yeah, we're about to talk about Iran, but I was watching a little bit of Nick last night, and he was talking about Venezuela, or maybe it was from a few days ago, and talking about how we should support this because viscerally, as Americans, we should just feel that it's awesome that we can do this. And if we don't agree with it, how we have a problem with historical imperialism. But some of us have a more nuanced perspective. Like we've lost the ability to engage in these things because we no longer have any moral center. And that's basically what Trump just said. And I think Trump's sentiments they're of course supported by the existing MAGA movement. They're saying like, we're awesome. We can do whatever we want. And then people like us are looking at our country and we're like, well, we used to be awesome and we used to be able to do what we want, but we can't do this stuff anymore.
Did you see the video? Did you see the video that came out a couple days ago of like, it was a MAGA mom and dad with their liberal son and daughter?
No.
And I might have to try to pull it up. They were asking if Donald Trump deployed the army to kill everybody in Los Angeles, would you support it? And they said, well, yeah, he probably has a good reason for it. And it's like, but Dad, I live there. He's like, well, you should get out. Yeah, it was a real video. I think it was a real video. I mean, God knows anymore with all this AI slop, but there are a lot of people out there, and I see it on Facebook all over the place. Yeah. People just unquestioning about what Trump is doing. And it's like, listen, I think I said this last week. I'm not opposed to us kidnapping foreign leaders, blackbagging them, and dragging them to Guantanamo. Like, I don't care. I like the idea of the United States being able to express its dominance, especially in the Western Hemisphere. I'm just not convinced that the people in charge that are making these decisions have America's best interest at heart. We're seeing the people that are there, they're all Zionists.
Right.
They're all singularly focused on Israel and what can be done to bring about Mashiach and build the third temple and have greater Israel and genocide the Palestinians. And it's like, okay, Maduro, sure, we're going to black bag him, whatever, but like, why?
Yes,
does this
that's
really
exactly
help
it.
us?
No, I totally understand where you're coming from, because if we had a moral center and we were trying to institute the greater moral good in a meaningful way,
the Greater America Project.
Yes, with like a real value and virtue underlying it, underpinning it, then I'd be like, all right, if we totally flipped on Israel and we were like, all right, let's go topple Israel, I'd be like, I'm in. Let's do this. So it's not this imperialist component that I'm having a reaction to. It's just the motivations underlying it. Cameron, were you going to say something before we interrupted you?
Yeah, no, it's okay. Look, I really am not a fan of a lot of people on social media. I'm sorry, I'm just not. I know a lot of you kids out there, you think it's really cool to listen to a lot of these idiots online, and they're idiots. And why are they idiots? Because they're pursuing a business model. And the business model is to say outrageous and ridiculous things in front of a camera to get attention. And that's how you generate success on social media. God knows I haven't had that success because I refuse to do that. And I will not engage in that kind of behavior because it's a load of bullshit, especially at a time when there are serious consequences for this kind of carelessness and recklessness around the world. Never mind the damage that's being done to our country internally. But there's a couple things here. One is, this is not just about special interests. This is about a lot of people, particularly people on the internet, that are paid by you, the viewer, or maybe they're paid by a corporation to express opinions about things that they have no visceral connection to whatsoever. And what I mean specifically by that is, look, I served in the military. My father served in the military. My father's father served in the military. I come from many, many generations of people that had real skin in the game, that had real exposure to the dangers involved in deploying armed forces, whether domestically or overseas. I have also just recently come from a war zone in the Donbass, where millions of people have died. Tens of millions have been disrupted. And I think it's very likely that that number is going to grow. These are very large numbers, ladies and gentlemen. And so it's one thing to sit there in front of a screen as some infantile social media personality and sound really cool with an interesting take. It's quite another to see entire neighborhoods obliterated, to see people's lives destroyed irreparably because one side of the Atlantic thinks that they're playing geopolitical chess. And the failure on the part of the president, the failure on the part of the elites in this country, which reflects exactly what I've said from the beginning, that these people are degenerate clowns. They don't really know what they're doing, is that if you're strong, it doesn't mean you walk around and beat up the weak. But it's worse than that, ladies and gentlemen. We're not strong right now. We are very weak. And that is why we're bullying others. It is not out of strength. It is out of weakness. And what the president is doing specifically is he's putting our forces in harm's way. And that's going to come to count this year. I don't know if it's going to happen in Venezuela. I don't know if it's going to happen in Iran. But if you go back just 30 years and you listen to presidents like George Bush, again, I'm not a huge fan of George H.W. Bush, but if you listen to his speech or speeches regarding deploying armed forces, or you go back to Reagan or Nixon, what you hear is a calibrated sense of alarm about the dangers inherent in escalation. And anybody who fights physically in the real world, whether you're a boxer or you engage in martial arts, knows that you always fight as a last resort. It doesn't matter how masterful you may be. Any fight you go into could be your last. Who doesn't understand that? Who doesn't see that? People who have never fought, people who have never experienced anything in the real world, people who do not calibrate their language, who think that flooding the airwaves with ridiculous bullshit is the way to get ahead through attention. That kind of culture is not how you should behave, ladies and gentlemen, and especially for those young men of you out there listening to this, watching me. Do not behave that way. Pay keen attention to the language that you use. Be precise with your words, because everything you say and do has consequences. And what's the recurring theme of this show so far? That the people in power have no sense of consequences. That's why things are so fucked up. That's what's wrong with this country.
I feel personally attacked. What about you?
Me? I'm a take seller. I get it. My thing is I just, I have my own takes. And it is what it is.
No, Cameron's out as usual.
Cameron's right. Yeah, he's right. Listen, there's a lot of really bad actors out there. And this alt media sphere has been completely infiltrated with, look at Agent Pozo. Right? Like, look at all of these people that were former military intelligence that are out there running these podcasts, and they are attempting to, what was it called? Coerced consent? Or, remember, they did it during COVID. They were trying to manufactured consent for all of this stuff, whether it's Venezuela or Iran or any of this stuff. So you got to be careful with that. But yeah, before we get too far, I do want to mention, talking about the collapse of the Federal Reserve potentially and what Donald Trump is doing with Fed Chairman Jay Powell. How do I say that 3 times fast? You got to protect your wealth, and you got to do that by visiting our friends at atlasbullion.com/backlash. If you haven't been buying gold and silver, well, you've been making a mistake. Your dollars are worth less if you're keeping them in the bank. Instead, you can get gold and silver. They've got subscriptions for silver starting as low as $55 a month, for gold as low as $200 a month. But you can protect your wealth, protect your assets, and your kids' future if you are investing in gold and silver. If you are saving all of your money in U.S. dollars, that is probably going to come back to bite you. This is not financial advice. We're not financial advisors. Do your own research. I'm a retard with a box of crayons. But, silver is up what? Since we started this podcast, let's just pull this up real quick. Silver is up.
I thought you meant like today.
No, since we started this podcast, silver is up 200%. It's unbelievable. Gold is up, I think, a little over 100%, maybe. Yeah, 124%. So if you want to, and I don't think that this is anywhere near peak yet. There's a lot of people out there like, oh, this is going to crash tomorrow. And I don't know what it's going to do. But if Bank of America is calling for $300 an ounce, I don't think it's going to stop at $5,000 an ounce for gold. So I think that if you're watching the show and you're hearing the pitch for precious metals for the first time, ask your friends about it. If they're not aware of what's going on in the gold and silver markets, you're probably early. So
I guess so. I'm seeing a lot of people in the live chat. Is it stupid to buy now? I feel fairly confident that it's going to continue to go up. The thing about gold and silver, though, is that it represents our weakening economy.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, how much is having precious metals really going to protect you? It's better than having cash. It's probably better than having a lot of real estate, like certain kinds of real estate.
Yes.
So I don't know. I mean, all of us are just trying to do our own thing to protect our wealth to the best of our ability.
Be diversified. That's,
and diversification.
And by the way, maybe once this is done, I'll add it to the description of the video. But Kenzie, the owner of Atlas Bullion, and I got together and we did a very good Twitter space last Friday. It's up on our Twitter account. It's a recorded space, so you can go back and listen to it. But we talked about a lot of this kind of stuff. And if you've never invested in gold or silver before, a lot of those types of basic questions of like, what should I be buying? Don't buy slabbed coins, these graded coins that have numismatic value. Bullshit. Just get weight. Get 10 ounce bars, whatever you can.
If you have the excess income, that's the best way.
The other element of this whole thing is the amount of money that the Fed has to roll over is over $9 billion this year. And that's not even including the interest that's owed on all of the treasuries and the bonds that have been printed in the last 5 years. And 60% of US dollars that are in existence were created within the last 5 years. I don't think that we've really started to feel that. They've been keeping precious metals down because these big data centers that we were talking about, they're starting to use silver in the Cat5 cable because it gives them a nanosecond quicker response time. So they're changing all the copper out for silver. And we've
Good
been
luck acquiring it.
Yeah, we've been operating at this like net deficit. There's this interesting website, silverwars.com. They've got this ticker bar that shows the supply chain dominance between East and West. And we're screwed. So it's going to be wild. And especially living here in North Idaho, where most of the silver in the United States is mined, it's going to be interesting. They're getting a lot of these plants back online. So
yeah, Silver Valley. That's right.
Check out atlasbullion.com/backlash.
Man, I feel like we're such a bummer tonight. So let's talk about Iran.
Oh my God.
I know.
Have you seen that? This just came out an hour ago. Since we've been streaming, airspace over Iran has been closed.
Oh my gosh.
It's nuts. I've been getting updates all day long from Rerum Novarum and what's the other account that I follow? Actum Bellum, Acts of War over on Telegram. Bellum Acta. And it's just one after another, opening air shelters, air raid shelters in Israel, one city after another.
Well, it's happening, and we've been saying it would. You tweeted something funny about the backlash. Watch the backlash for next month news yesterday.
Yes, it's true. We've been talking about this for a while.
So I'll give you a little rundown of what happened this week in Iran. There was the manipulation of their economy, the Iranian economy, from abroad, blocking access to their currency, 34%, which caused shopkeepers to start protesting. And then on Thursday night, protests began. They were very bad. But for the first 2 days, no arrests, no one was killed. And then on the third day, it seems that somebody delivered some small rifles and firearms to the crowd, and then 3 to 4, I don't care what you've heard about this 12,000 people being killed thing.
That's not
300 to 400 people were killed. And just Tehran has apparently, the market's been destroyed there. Mosques have been burned down.
Have you seen the Bitcoin chart?
You cannot help yourself.
In Iranian, like what do they have over there? The Real? The Iranian Real?
Real, yep.
The chart is just insane looking. Look at that. It just boop straight up because their currency collapsed. So
Yeah, but their currency didn't just suddenly collapse, right? You're talking about financial manipulation from Western speculators, and gee, I wonder why that's happening.
Part of their regime change operation.
Of course. Oh, that tweet was good. Go up.
Which one? This one?
Iranian currency
from
hits
the
record
Jew,
low.
Dr.
Oh, that's 2024.
Eli
Never
David?
mind.
Yeah, that's old.
That's old.
That's old news.
All right, let's pull up 25. Mike Pompeo. I thought that this was a slip of the tongue, but I was listening to Blumenthal before we went live, and he's like, he was obviously directed to say this by Israeli forces, by the Mossad. Let's see what Mike Pompeo said about this.
This is from Mike Pompeo. The Iranian regime is in trouble. Bringing in mercenaries is its last best hope. Riots in dozens of cities and the something under siege. Mashhad, Tehran, Zahedan, next stop Baluchistan. 47 years of this regime. POTUS 47. Coincidence? Happy New Year to every Iranian in the streets and also to every Mossad agent walking beside them. Why would Mike Pompeo have it?
That it?
No, let's play it a little bit.
Oh, okay.
9:37, please.
What we in the West who are rejecting the mainstream media narrative have been saying for 2 weeks now?
Well, I think probably the Israelis, Mossad itself, and Pompeo, they've been boasting because they misread Iran. They think that Iran is a house of cards. They've been saying that for decades now. They're always saying, just give it a little push and it's finished. That's what they were doing during the 12-Day War. They thought, okay, we'll attack Iran and it's going to be all over. And the exact opposite happened. And we had a discussion back then together too. So I think that he thought it would be over, and then afterwards, the glory would be given to Mossad. But that's not the case.
We're good. Yet I'm seeing vociferous denials of Israeli involvement from plenty of government officials, from plenty of elites. People are saying that it's AI. Can you pull up 26? As much as it pains me to cite Glenn Greenwald, he's of course right about this. Trump's former CIA director and the largest newspapers of the Israeli media can state explicitly and clearly that Mossad is all over the protests in Iran, yet people still will deny it and say it's only conspiracy theorists could believe such a crazy tale. He's got the Pompeo tweet, and then can you pull up the Jerusalem Post? Mossad spurs Iran protests, says agents with demonstrators in Farsi message. As protests grow across Iran, the Mossad posted an unusual Farsi message urging demonstrators to act, saying it is within them in the streets. It is with them in the streets amid rising economic pressure and public unrest. Let's see what Trump has to say. This is clip 27.
And by the way, to all Iranian patriots, keep protesting, take over your institutions if possible, and save the name of the killers and the abusers that are abusing you. You're being very badly abused. If the numbers are right now, I hear 5 different sets of numbers. I hear numbers, look, 1 death is too much, but I hear much lower numbers, and then I hear much higher numbers. But I say save their names because they'll pay a very big price. And I've canceled all meetings with the Iranian officials until the senseless killing of protesters stops. And all I say to them is help is on its way. You saw that I put tariffs on anybody doing business with Iran. Just went into effect today. And I say make Iran great again. You know, it was a great country until these monsters came in and took it over.
We're good.
Can you imagine if...
So we might be thinking that Trump is only doing this because of his interest in Israel, but I have another theory that is contributing to this. Can we play 28, please?
Well, now we're hearing that they're going to start hanging protesters tomorrow. So it comes back to the question, have they crossed your red line or has the line moved?
I haven't heard about the hanging. If they hang them, you're going to see some things that I don't know what where you come from and what your thought process is, but you'll perhaps be very happy.
What do you mean by that?
We will take very strong action. If they do such a thing, we will take very strong action.
And this strong action you're talking about, what's the end game?
The end game is to win. I like winning.
How do you define that in Iran?
Well, let's define it in Venezuela. Let's define it with al-Baghdadi. He was wiped out. Let's define it with Soleimani. And let's define it in Iran, where he wiped out their Iran nuclear threat in a period of about 15 minutes once the B-2s got there. And that was a complete obliteration, as it turns out, which is what I said initially. Then some questioned it, and they said, Trump was right. So we've been right about everything. We don't want to see what's happening in Iran happen. And, if they want to have protests, that's one thing. When they start killing thousands of people, and now you're telling me about hanging, we'll see how that works out for them. It's not going to work out good.
It's not going to work out good. So, of course, he has vested interest in Israel. Of course, he has all of these financial entanglements. But I'm concerned about Trump and how he behaves, especially over the next few months, because he's just bloated with confidence from the perceived success of the Venezuela militaristic venture. And that makes me think that he's emboldened to be negligent. I know he's not acting unilaterally, but I think this is a very dangerous time.
And it's crazy to see what's been going on over there today. There have been some updates. Bibi Netanyahu has fled Israel. He's in Greece right now. His plane took off a little bit earlier today. Also, Ehud Barak, former prime minister of Israel, he also boarded a plane today. There's been numerous things coming out. Like I said, Iran closing their airspace. Different countries have been pulling their ambassadors out of the region. And there was a report earlier today from Reuters that Reuters, 24 hours. Reuters said that they had information that Trump may be preparing to attack Iran within the next 24 hours. That came out earlier this morning. So it's very interesting to see what's going on. There was also some interesting video that has surfaced showing a bunch of Starlinks being smuggled into the country. For those of you who've been paying attention, the internet has been down in Iran for the past several days. The Iranian regime has been able to just turn the thing off because that's how Mossad and Israel has been helping to coordinate this color revolution. And so here we are, Elon Musk working together with the Israelis to provide essentially what is a weapon of war, Starlink, to their operatives in Iran. It's wild stuff.
So, Cameron, I would like to know what you think is coming in the next few months and whether or not this is going to unite Iran and make them stronger, make them a more formidable, I don't want to say enemy. I don't view Iran as an enemy to us, but an enemy to Trump.
Right. Well, these are tumultuous times indeed. It's very sad to see this because it wasn't all that long ago that I recall seeing President Trump give semi-articulate speeches arguing vociferously against interventions. Remember? You remember that?
Yes.
He said going into Iraq was a mistake. I think he said the same thing about Libya. He talked about the failure in Afghanistan. He was right. What has happened? And furthermore, what is America first exactly? Because, earlier the word imperialism was used. One of our presidents in the 19th century, John Quincy Adams, said, and I quote, "Wherever the standard of freedom and independence has been or shall be unfurled, there will her heart, her benedictions, and her prayers be. But she goes not abroad in to destroy." What I can tell all of you about life, and I know that Rebecca and Dave will concur, is that if you leave your house, if you leave your town or your community in search of monsters, you will find them. You will find them. And we are on the cusp, ladies and gentlemen, of finding a monster. Now, a couple things before I get to the main thrust of what I'm about to say, because I don't think you're going to hear these ideas elsewhere, particularly not in the alternative dissident space, as it's called. The first is, what does this have to do with our national interest? Why are we putting our forces at risk? we could lose thousands of people. We have thousands of U.S. troops across the Middle East that are relatively helpless. And the Iranians have tens of thousands of missiles, some of which are hypersonic. We can't stop them. We have vulnerable ships that are in the area as well. So the damage to us is very clear. It's palpable, and it could be devastating. There's no question about it. In fact, and I've talked about this before, we ran a war game simulation 20 years ago. It's called the Millennium Challenge. And the Millennium Challenge was a simulated war between Iran and the United States. And we lost. And we lost a lot of ships, and we lost thousands of sailors. This could be worse. This could be worse. This is 20 years removed from that. And again, for what? What is our interest there? Does Iran pose an existential threat to the United States? No. Has Iran ever committed an act of terrorism directly against the United States? It has not. It is not. There is no national interest whatsoever in doing what we're doing. And the America First policy, as I just read a moment ago, is to wish the protesters the best, to hope for their democratic revival, I guess, if that's in their best interest, if they decide it. It is not to charge into the fray and try to regime change, because we know the track record of doing so has been so great for the United States. It's been so tremendous for average Americans across this country since the Vietnam War, has it not? No, it has been an absolute disaster. In addition to that, this is not a war of strategy. This is not about geopolitical balancing. And that's what you're going to hear a lot on Twitter, right? This is all about geopolitics. This is about sending a message to the Iranians. And very specifically, there's an essay that I read recently that sort of captures this sentiment. I sent this to you, Dave, in Telegram. It's called Why Regime Change in Iran Remains a Foreign Illusion. And in that piece, the author, who was on our program not that long ago, Konstantin von Hofmeister, this is what he says. It says, from the standpoint of the United States and Israel, open regime change is risky, expensive, and politically costly. That's true. A loud revolution attracts global attention and resistance. It risks failure and humiliation. Far better, from their view, is a quiet operation, a managed transition, a palace coup, or an internal reshuffling that leaves the outer form of the state intact while hollowing out its core. Is that what we're seeing? Are we seeing a careful strategy to maintain our distance? No. The Israelis specifically want us to frontally attack this country, to put ourselves in great harm's way, to potentially cost the lives of tens of thousands of U.S. servicemen. But why? Why are we doing this? Well, Constantine tells us that the United States and Israel thinking this through geopolitically, that there's a military strategy. That's not the case. This is being driven by two things. One is eschatology. And we talked about this 6 months ago. This is Israel's war. This is a war about end times. This is a war to destroy utterly the state of Persia and any other potential threat, real or imagined, in the Middle East that the Israelis can possibly concoct that might maybe one day threaten them. That's what this is about. This is about Jewish supremacy in the Middle East and beyond, and leveraging the dumb goy in the United States, those stupid evangelical Christians who just gush over this bastardized state created by imperialism some 80 years ago. That state is laughing at us, that we are dumb enough to actually commit ourselves to this kind of lunacy, all for their eschatology. And they've got their dumb goy in President Trump, who's bought and paid for to do it. That's why this war is going to happen. Now, who are the monsters that we're going to encounter? Well, as it happens, I am in Istanbul. And Istanbul is a holy city. It's one of the founding cities of world civilization, the site of the Byzantine Empire, before that, the Roman Empire, and eventually the Ottoman Empire. And when you walk through Istanbul, at various intervals in the day because it is a Muslim country. And if you've never been to a Muslim country, it can be quite alarming. You will hear the Islamic call to prayer. And the Islamic call to prayer is a resonance. It's fever. And it expresses a wholly different kind of civilization, that being Islam. And Islam is split in two worlds. There's the house of Islam and the house of war. And the house of war is anything outside of it. And while Persia is not a feverishly Islamic country, its regime is. And Persia is very definitely fit into the fold of the Islamic world. And what we're going to do is attack one of the founding countries or poles of that Islamic civilization, which is already beneath the surface, percolating with this anti-American, anti-Israeli axis that they now regard as fighting a holy war against them. And so what you're going to see happen is the rise of something that I've written about. You can sample my Substack. You're going to see the rise of a kind of asabiya. And asabiya is a term that comes from an Islamic writer, historian, his name is Ibn Khaldun, to describe a kind of social cohesion, right? A kind of binding together. What I'm suggesting to you, ladies and gentlemen, is that this war against Iran is not an isolated affair any more than fighting the Russians in Ukraine is. This is going to awaken the house of Islam from Istanbul, Turkey, to Tehran, Iran, probably all the way to Gaza. And speaking of Gaza, I think 2 years ago, I came across a quote in which a Gaza resident in the midst of this genocide that's happening there said that my tragedy lives inside me. That's what he said when asked about the situation he lives in day by day, right? And this has affected millions of people in the Middle East. We're going to plunge right into that tragedy. And that tragedy inside the House of Islam is going to be visited upon us for doing this. You mark my words. That's what this war is really about. And those are the stakes, which is why the America First movement, if there is such a thing, had better get its act together and oppose this dangerous Zionist sellout, President Donald Trump, who's putting everything that this country stands for at risk for a tiny bastardized state the size of New Jersey, who's bought him and has probably compromised him.
This is so depressing. We are cooked.
Yeah. And it's looking like all airline travel to Iran has been basically canceled until January 19th. So the next few days, this thing might pop off. Also, I guess a carrier group that was in the South China Sea is being redirected and coming around to CENTCOM territory. I also saw earlier today there were a bunch of refueling tanks that took off from Doha, and they're changing their location. So
I'm sure we'll have updated news next week, and we'll have more information about what we decide to do as a nation.
Dear God, don't put that on me. Don't insinuate that whatever Trump does is some sort of like outgrowth of what we want as a nation.
Of course not. I voted for Trump in 2016, though.
Yeah.
And all of the evidence was available at that time that he was going to be this kind of president, but I was excited about the disruption, and that was short-sighted and weak-willed of me, and I should have had better foresight.
Right.
And that's disappointing. But I didn't in 2024. Yeah.
Jeez. It's gonna be crazy to see what winds up happening of this. I do think that if we wind up striking Iran, it's not going to work. I mean, they failed the last go around, and Trump is lying about taking out their nuclear capabilities.
Of course,
that's a lie. So we're going to see.
Before we get to our next topic, we are very close. Not very close. We're pretty close.
We're halfway there
to our goal of $1,000. Please send your super chats into the backlash.net/superchat or to my YouTube channel. That is Rebecca Hargraves, or to our YouTube channel at Real Backlash.
Rumble Rants. You can do Rumble Rants. Also, we opened up. It's new on Rumble. I think this might be the first Wednesday show that we have it. But we have a tip jar. If you're on a browser, there's like a little new button. We're one of the first channels to have one. You can click it and then scan it. There's like a Rumble wallet app. So for those of you that are inclined to
that looks easy,
Bitcoin and all that,
awesome.
Digital Tether, whatever, you can send us money on crypto through Rumble now.
We appreciate that. Let's talk about Australia. So we did mention this briefly a few weeks ago because it's been in the works, but can you pull up 33? A draft of Labor's new hate speech bill, seen by the ABC, creates a new federal offense, making it illegal to publicly promote, and listen to the language of this, or incite racial hatred where the conduct would cause a reasonable person to feel intimidated, harassed, or fear violence. To a reasonable person to feel harassed. That's what their standard is. Ridiculous. It includes a narrow defense where the speech, writing, or another form of public gesture is solely quoting religious text for teaching or discussion. Parliament has been recalled to sit for 2 days this week to debate the wide-ranging bill, which also includes changes to gun laws proposed in the wake of the Bondi attack. We also talked about this on the Backlash. Obviously, they use every opportunity to narrow the freedoms of the Australian people in any given attack, irrespective of the circumstances. So as a result, the National Socialist Network has been banned. They have disbanded due to the new hate speech laws. Go ahead, Dave.
What do you want from me? I've got a clip of
That's good, yeah.
some of the discussion in the Parliament. Let's pull this up real quick.
Where you've spoken about expressions of race, colour and national or ethnic origin. And it says on the fourth line there, for example, those of Jewish origin would be protected by the offence. Given that Jewish people I could convert to Judaism, how then do you suggest that you'll be protecting Jewish people of different ethnic origins under this legislation?
So for this offence, that reference draws on the Racial Discrimination Act, and it is in that context, these terms have been found to encompass Jewish people, also Sikhs, as ethno-religious groups.
Okay. So you would be satisfied that using that basis, that people chanting "Gas the Jews" or "Death to Jews," that would encompass that group of people, despite them, it might be a Ukrainian Jewish person or a person from Israel.
Yes, so we're satisfied that that reference to persons or groups distinguished by race, colour, or national or ethnic origin encompasses Jewish people.
Okay, what about other religious groups? Would it protect... well, I'm Catholic. Would it protect Catholic people?
I mentioned that I think there has been consideration that it will apply to Sikhs as also an ethno-religious group. And in other contexts, it would depend on the broader range of characteristics, but being Catholic alone would not constitute race, colour, national, ethnic origin, but it might be that in certain circumstances, if there are broader other considerations that meant those individuals formed part of one of those groups. That
Are there any men in their government?
No.
This has to be perhaps the most feminized.
No one with any balls.
I know, the most feminized Western government. It's unreal.
Right. And so it's unfortunate. Some of the tweets that I wanted to reference, like one of the tweets that I put in the outline. Since the time that I put it in the outline like 3 hours ago and now, they've been suspended. So I'm kind of up the creek here a little bit. But yeah, the National Socialist Network was Joel Davis's group. Let me see if I can find it now.
They have supposedly voluntarily disbanded. But I'm under the impression that I saw a few clips today that they're going to go underground. And then I saw some clips from some male members of their government saying that they are going to be watching them on their internet activity like hawks, because that's their job, to make sure that they don't have any underground resurgence. So it looks to me like Australia is cooked as far as white positive nationalist movements are concerned.
Yeah, but at the same time, like, we'll have nuance here. But I mean, did we really need to do this, guys?
It's funny.
It's funny, but like, did we really need to do that?
No, I mean, I was talking about the optics on Patriot Front, which are so much more palatable.
Yeah, the idea that Thomas Rousseau is like anti-optics. The whole thing is optics. They look fit. They look well. They're dressed in the same way. They have a palatable message about patriotism in America, American history, the founding fathers. That is not the same as what the guys in Australia were doing.
Yeah.
And the people in Australia were also engaging in violence. They were engaging in violent acts. They were sig heiling and running around doing that.
To be fair, it does not mean that we condone them falling under the banner of hate speech. However,
I don't condone either side of this. Like, I don't think you should be running around doing the stuff that the NSN was doing. And at the same time, it's absolutely out of control what this government is doing. And it's blatantly on its face, showing that we're going to protect Muslims, we're going to protect Jews, Catholics, Christians, totally unprotected. You want to say gas the Catholics, gas the Pope, whatever. You want to go like break statues of the Virgin Mary or desecrate a church or something like that. That is all completely fine. We've got laws similar to that here in America, to be fair. Like, when you see these Catholic churches getting vandalized in America, that does not trigger hate speech investigations by the FBI. In fact, the FBI is busy investigating us.
Right.
They're investigating the Catholic Church for being anti-Semitic and isolationist and all of this other stuff.
That being said, the NSM, they are pro-white, and the fact that they violate some of our optics codes, our unwritten optics codes, I don't think it's an indictment of what they believe. I just think that it's kind of uncouth. That's like my main criticism. I'm like, all right, this is like a little uncouth.
Here's the I finally found the tweet, how they would be disbanded before the 18th, which is when this law would go into effect. It's not just the National Socialist Network, it's also the White Australia and the European Australia Movement and the White Australia Party. And as all of this is happening, you've got one of these guys, Joel Davis, who is rotting in prison.
Yeah, absolutely. And people should be outraged by that. But because of the things that he said, I think we have a clip. People are like, well, what was he expecting? I think that we don't understand the situation in Australia and that they feel compelled to go harder.
Here's a clip of Joel.
You look so militant. Yes! We are fucking militant! Do you think that we are going to beat these fucking Jews without being militant? No.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just not a fan. I'm not a fan of that whole thing, that rhetoric. Not that it would have saved him.
It wouldn't have saved him. I mean,
the real question is, why is this law coming about? Is it because of these guys, or is it because of the Bondi Beach attack?
It's because of the Bondi Beach attack, of course. Right. So I'm not really sure if it's even relevant, and I don't want to counter-signal these guys. I don't, because I largely agree with the stuff that they say.
I don't think if you're an American, I don't think you should be running around doing that kind of stuff. Again, we said this earlier. It's just like these Antifa freaks over in Minneapolis, talking about getting their guns and, doing a standoff with the federal government. Like, don't do that. Be smart. Hello.
Yeah.
Like, at least as far as I'm concerned, the way forward is localism. It's being involved in your community. It's about building positive things. It's not about like gearing up and LARPing around like some sort of fucking guy that's going to like overthrow the government.
Yeah, but I like this energy, this masculine energy that's being presented, the anger.
Woman.
Yeah.
Woman moment.
I don't know. I mean, I don't think that if he had been more controlled in his speech that he wouldn't be sitting in solitary confinement. I'm not really sure if it's relevant.
And to be totally clear, like if we were in Australia, we would fall under this these new laws.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
100%.
Yeah, yeah.
And, you know, and even though, like, because I think one of the considerations that it says is if it's, you know, religious teaching. I mean, like, go look at the, was it the Fourth Council of, oh boy. Now I'm going to, this is what happens. We're getting
The Fourth
into hour
Council
two.
of blah, blah, blah.
Florence, maybe, where it talks about how Jews should not hold power over Christians. Like, that's like a codified teaching of the Catholic Church. And so it says that this section does not apply to conduct that consists only of directly quoting from or otherwise referencing a religious text for the purposes of religious teaching or discussion. But at the same time, I guarantee you that if I went to Australia and I quoted 1 Thessalonians 2:14 through 16, and I said that the Jews are the ones that killed Christ,
Oh, you'd be screwed.
I would be in jail.
Absolutely. Cameron, I know you have some things that you wanted to say about this and how this relates to Iran. Can you enlighten us?
Yeah, and forgive me, I'm going to be a bit pedagogical, but I think this is important. And as I said earlier, language and the precision with which you use language is of fundamental importance. So a couple things. Fanaticism is coming. It's coming. I described it a moment ago in Iran. And what I foresee is this broader spread of this feverish anti-American Israeli axis spreading in the Islamic world. That's not where it's going to end. You're going to see that in the West. And you're going to see it unfold, I think, in some truly spectacular, probably scary and unpredictable ways. What does fanaticism mean? Well, one thing you and Dave may not know is that the word fan, like sports fans, is derived from fanatic. That's where it comes from. And fanaticism specifically comes from the Latin fanaticus, and it means inspired by a deity, frenzied or mad, inspired by a deity, inspired by something metaphysical, by something beyond, by something magical, by something charismatic. Now, these are all words that we use to describe things that are not tangible. They're not material. And you see, the world that Rebecca and Dave and most politicos grew up in, and frankly, most Americans, is a world that's despiritualized. It's a world that's materialized. It's consistent, or it comprises parties, the Republicans and the Democrats, right? Or politicians that wear these carefully manicured suits and give, you know, these sort of canned phrases and so forth. And that world has predominated for a long time, but it's going to give way. And it's going to give way not permanently, but certainly as this end of cycle, as I've described it, churns and authority breaks down and you see an eruption on the street. You're going to see fanaticism. You're not going to see a kind of pro forma, anchored, logical reasonableness. Everything, in other words, is about to change. Another word to think about, religious. What does religious mean? It means to relink. It means to relink, to reconnect. We have been disconnected in the West. We've been despiritualized, right? We've been materialized, and that's ending. And that's why you're starting to see, in some cases, this fanaticism, like what you saw in Australia. And trying to suppress that or crush it is not going to work. It's only going to get stronger. And a quote that I think addresses this well comes from Mircea Eliade. He was a Romanian, wrote many interesting books, one in particular called The Sacred and the Profane. And what he said is as follows, and I quote, "The man who has made his choice in favor of a profane life," profane meaning despiritualized, bereft of God or anything metaphysical, "the man who has made his choice in favor of a profane life never fully succeeds in completely doing away with religious behavior." In other words, it's not natural to be materialized, to be despiritualized. It's actually natural to be relinked, to be reconnected. And if you look at the life story of my co-hosts, Dave Riley and Rebecca Hargraves, that is precisely the life trajectory that they found themselves on. They were adrift in a profane life, but they relinked, they reconnected. And this is precisely what is happening across the United States and the Western world in general. This is why we are not finished. This is why this is not the end of Western civilization. This is why it is a rebirth. It is going to come or emanate from fanaticism, from a kind of deification, a reconnection, a relinkage with the metaphysical, right? With the magical, with the charisma. Now, I know a lot of what I'm saying sort of sounds nebulous. Like, what are you talking about, dude? Look, life is unreasonable. It's not logical. Now, you can look backward in your life and you can say, well, this is the moment it changed, or this is the time I met the girl. But that's not really what life is all about. And let's just consider some political examples to be clear, right? Was it reasonable for a TV star and a narcissistic billionaire rich kid to defeat the Clinton machine and become president in 2016? Was that reasonable? No. It was completely unreasonable, and it happened anyway. What about Nick Fuentes? Was it reasonable for a kid screaming epithets in front of a camera, praising Hitler, and saying all kinds of outlandish things to become an internet sensation and shake up the right wing in the United States? It was not reasonable, but it happened. It happened anyway. Was it reasonable for the American president to threaten Denmark over Greenland? No, it was not reasonable. It is not reasonable, and yet it happened. And that brings me to the final point. And this comes from a brilliant guy, and I highly recommend all of you to read his material. His name is Nassim Taleb. He's written a lot of books, one of which is called Anti-Fragile, but there's many. And he said, and I quote, "You must come to grips with the fact that history may, of all alternatives, take the most irrational path. That is the one that makes the least amount of sense to educated and neutral observers." Ladies and gentlemen, we have arrived. That is where we are right now. The least reasonable path is the path that we are on. And that is going to save this country. It will. It will allow us to reconnect with the metaphysical and the magical and the charismatic, the archetypes, to regain a sense of our identity. And what is identity? It's a mysterious, nebulous thing. It can't be manufactured by some document, right, that sits in Philadelphia called the Constitution, or in DC. That's not what makes it. What makes it is the religious, the reconnection, right? The mysterious, the unreasonable. So I say all of that to say this: strap yourselves in, because a lot of you out there who doubt what I'm saying, who think it's impossible or nothing ever changes, that's a little bullshit. And all you have to do is look at the last 5 years and just consider the things, these tidal waves of disruption that have completely inverted what we thought was possible. That is what we are in store for. And it's that kind of fanaticism that is the key to our victory, which is exactly why it has been suppressed.
You know, I agree with what he's saying. I agree with you, Cam. But at the same time, I'm going to engage in counter signaling, and I guarantee I'm going to have a shit ton of people in the comments. I'm going to get flooded on Twitter. There is a good fanaticism and a bad fanaticism. There is a good reconnecting with the spiritual and the metaphysical, and there is like a fucking Frankenstein monster of bad.
Why are you pointing at me?
I'm not pointing at you. I was this and then that. And just to paint the picture here, I just want people to understand here that there's a difference between like understanding that all of our history is fake, understanding that certain historical events have been grossly exaggerated and wielded as a political weapon against white people. I think we all know exactly what I'm talking about. There is truth in that. And then there's like going over into like retard land. And I'm going to play a clip to illustrate.
And so likewise, I think that we can mark time. And I know this might be a bit far-fetched for this early in the game, but we can mark time from the death of Hitler. I think in the same way that we can mark time from the death of Christ. I think Hitler's more powerful in his death than he is in his life. And he was very powerful in his life. Yeah. Well, he does represent the embodiment of, I think, an ancient Aryan principle of the strongman. He's like a spirit king, and he represents the archetype of the leader. And I actually think that I think that Adolf Hitler is a reincarnation of an ancient Germanic god called Odin. And that's actually my primary religion. I know this might be a little bit off topic or further down the topic, but I believe that Adolf Hitler carries an energy inside of him. And so...
Oh, okay. Can I defend him a little bit before you?
Yes, just after we played this other clip, because on the one hand, he like literally turned Hitler into a religion, saying that he's like the reincarnation of Odin, which is fucking retarded. Absolutely retarded. And then in the same breath, this is the kind of rhetoric that he was talking about when he comes to power in Australia.
But I'm still really angry. And like when we win, Mark, and we are going to win here in Australia, I'm going to make an example. I'm not going to go into detail, but I'm going to make an example of the situation. I'm going to do shit that's never been done before in fucking recorded history. I'm going to do crazy shit. But I'll keep it at that. Okay. I'm going to make Helter Skelter look like a moderate.
All right, this all sounds awesome. I don't know what to tell you. All right, so I'm Catholic, so this like reincarnation of Odin, I obviously have some problems there. But what he's doing, he is harnessing his masculine energy to tap in with his ancestral spirit and his sense of ethnos. And I think that the heart of what he's doing is right on. I think it's good. I can get over some of the logistics of the stuff that he said, but like I look at that guy and I'm like, all right, this is my brethren. This is my brother. Like I can work with this guy.
I look at that guy and I think he needs prayers, sacrifices, say a rosary for his conversion.
That is a high testosterone male that is saying things that are mostly right.
No. Come on.
Okay, the Odin stuff and the reincarnation. All right, that's all crazy. But he's trying to tap into something.
Even with like, yes, we need to, like in America, we need to deport like 20, 40, I don't know how many millions of illegals we need to deport, but we need to deport a lot of people. And that's going to be tough. And it's going to be like, but my family. And I get that. But like, there's a matter of justice and then there's vengeance. And I do think that this can get, and it will, and Cameron's right about this, like justice denied, like people have an appetite for justice, and we have been denied that in this country since like 1965. And so there is anger and resentment that is boiling up, and it's gonna boil over. And I'm just saying that if by God's grace we are ever able to get control of this country again, we need to be very purposeful in how we do things. And like when you look at what happened in Spain, when you look at what happened when the Jews opened the gates of Toledo and flooded Spain with Muslims, and they lost their country for like 700 years. In 1492, when they completed the Reconquista and they kicked the Jews out of Spain, they brought in a third party that had not been wronged by these people, because the American people, the Australian people, the English people, basically everybody in a white Western country has been wronged by the Jews, the Muslims, the people pushing mass migration. And so because we've been wronged by that and we have a desire for like revenge, we should not be the ones to adjudicate that. So Isabella and Ferdinand brought in a third party to do the trials, to figure out who is guilty, who needs to be put to death, who just needs to be arrested, who needs to be deported.
I understand where you're coming from.
Because left unabated, we'll see what happened in Seville over again. Okay.
Can I give a basic bitch analogy here?
Yeah.
Have you ever heard a woman say that she doesn't want to weight train because she's afraid of getting bulky?
No, I've never heard that.
I hear chicks say this all the time, and I'm like, That's retarded because it's just not in your nature. You would have to do so much stuff and steroids to make yourself bulky. That's how I feel about the perceived vengeful spirit of the modern white man. Like, if he's overcorrecting or whatever, I don't care, because the outcome is not going to be the vengeance that he desires. Vengeance is underrated. Sometimes vengeance is justice. It is. I mean, these people, they've taken our country. They've taken our legacy. They've made us ashamed of our heritage, of our wonderful history. They've tried to indoctrinate our children. They've killed us. They're convincing us to kill ourselves. Like, there is no vengeance that wouldn't, for me, equate with justice in this situation. I feel that guy.
Listen,
I feel him.
We're going to need a lot of millstones. Okay,
Yeah, okay, I
a lot
understand.
of people
Let's
are
let
going to
Cameron
need
get
to
in
get
there.
thrown in the ocean.
He's champing at the bit over there.
So let me just try to thread the needle a little bit, because I agree with you, Dave, 100%. And we've actually talked about this before. My point is simply to say this is going to happen. It's going to happen. People naturally, they spring load into these extremes.
Yep.
It's just the nature of the beast, right? This is why Evola said, ride the tiger, right? You're riding this sort of uncontrollable beast. But you're right, Dave, and the purpose of our program, and this is sort of what I said when we talked about the outlook for 2026, which, frankly speaking, has already been validated, right?
Yeah.
We said that things were going to escalate. We said that the roller coaster was going to pick up speed, and it is, as we speak. We need a steady hand of leadership. We've got to stay focused. We should not lose control. Those of us that are on this platform, those of us that have a vision. But make no mistake, that fanaticism that I described, that's coming. It's coming, and it's going to burn itself out. It's just the nature of the beast. I mean, there's a good book that I recommend to anybody who is interested in studying revolutions. It's called The Anatomy of Revolution. It's written by Crane Britton, and he describes revolution as a kind of infection in the body, a fever, and a fever runs its course. And that is the fanaticism that you're going to see erupt. And I think it's going to happen all over the world, not just in the Middle East, as I said, not just in the West, but potentially beyond that. It's got to run its course. Our job is to stay strapped in, stay focused, not lose sight of the big picture, as you said, not get too extreme one way or the other, and focus on, and this is the word that I use all the time, reconstruction. Reconstruction. And reconstruction is a Latin word, and it means to build again. To build again. But as Nietzsche said, and he's 100% right, for a tower to be erected, a tower must be destroyed. And we are witnessing that destruction, and there's nothing we can do about it. We can't control it. That fear to greed swing, it cannot be tamed. It's going to run its course. But you're right, Dave. We, those of us that are paying attention, those of us on our platform, right? Those of you in the audience that are wise, that are sort of keen of mind, we've got to stay disciplined. We've got to stay focused. And if we do that, we'll prevail, right? We won't succumb to the animal spirits. But the animal spirits are coming, and they will ultimately create the opportunity to save this country, to reconstruct this mess that has been created.
Yeah. How bad is it in the chat? You've been looking. I haven't been looking. Dave's a cuck. Dave's a bitch. Blah, blah, blah. Probably.
Dave is ideologically consistent for what it's worth.
I am ideologically.
And, I have the emotions of a woman, as I am a woman. And I'm just chronically pissed off. Dave is able to channel that into religion, into all sorts of positive things.
We got to build things. We got to build social networks. We have to build our own institutions. We have to rebuild the social fabric of society. And I think that needs to be based off of love and something good, fraternity, brotherly love, common heritage, common religion.
Right.
I think that's all like good stuff. I just, I look at when you start building things out of anger or out of resentment, then the things that you build will like eventually, like they will just be ugly, and they will, like Cameron says, they will run their course. They'll flash in a pan.
Listen, I pray to be released from the spiritual issue that I have with being governed by my desire for vengeance.
Amen.
I do pray for that, but that is 90% plus of my motivation. I want to see these people destroyed for what they have done. And that is where my satisfaction will come from. Yes, we should build and, all the nice stuff and everything, but I want them to pay. And I want them to pay so that I feel better.
I think that in the new America, capital punishment should be televised.
Great. I'm in.
Because it fulfills our desire for justice.
It fulfills our desire for bloodlust. Like I want some of the weird stuff. I want some gladiators. I want some bears and lions.
We're gonna need a new Coliseum for that.
Yeah, that's what I want. More bloodlust.
Isn't that what they had in Starship Troopers? Execution.
Classic Starship Troopers.
All channels. Right? Something like that.
That's a great movie.
Oh my goodness.
We have gone way over. Cameron, I would like to send you off to bed if you're amenable to that.
Or you can stay.
Or you can stay, whatever you like to do.
But we've got some.
I'm going to fade in a moment anyway, but so just keep going and I'll probably just disappear into the
Irish
horizon.
exit.
Yes.
That's right.
This is your last chance to get your super chats in to the backlash.net/super chat on my YouTube channel. That is at Rebecca Hargraves, or I think I'm still blonde in the belly of the beast. I don't know. Or at our YouTube channel at Real Backlash or Rumble Rants. Please get those in. We're going to start reading them in just a second. But first,
we've got a word from our sponsors, Antelope Hill Publishing. They're fighting to keep history alive and equip new generations of dissidents with the information to fight the anti-white regime. Their varied catalog includes newly updated and expanded third edition of Dr. Kevin MacDonald's Culture of Critique, the essential modern text on Jewish identity, Dr. Ricardo Duchesne's magnum opus, Greatness in Ruin, the definitive scholarly examination of European exceptionalism, as well as works by Kerry Bolton, Paul Kersey, and Josh Neal. Antelope Hill recently brought David Irving's iconic Nuremberg: The Last Battle into print, and they have numerous translations of historical works from eras such as Fascist Italy, National Socialist Germany, and Civil War Spain, previously unavailable in English. There are also plenty of books on contemporary issues such as transgenderism, the opioid crisis, and Christian nationalism, as well as history books, novels, and children's books. So whatever your interest is, you're bound to find books that you like at Antelope Hill Publishing, all professionally published with sleek, modern cover art. Help us and help our people by checking out companies that share our values and fight for the cause. Visit Antelope Hill Publishing and Above Time Coffee. They make amazing coffee. I've been vertical only because of their caffeine. They've got wonderful small batch, hand roasted, made to order coffee. It's also fair trade, not free. See, free trade, that's the Jewish thing. This is fair trade coffee. Don't know if they're fair trade certified. Don't sue me if they're not. But I've been drinking the blonde roast. It's been absolutely fantastic. They've got all kinds from light to dark, hazelnut, all kinds of stuff. They've also got T-shirts. They've got a mocha pot. They had a French press if you need a coffee grinder. And if you use promo code BACKLASH10 on either Antelope Hill or Above Time Coffee, you will get a 10% discount. And so that's that. I should have found a way to make that commercial last a little bit longer.
Nope, you did great. You did great. I'm so glad that you read the ads, Dave. I would be horrible.
I'm good at segueing into them. I'm not good at drawing them out longer than need be. But yeah, visit all of our sponsors on our website, thebacklash.net/superchat under affiliate links. You can buy gold and silver, soap and skincare, books, Bitcoin, hardware, Bitcoin miner, more books, beef snacks, whatever you want. We got it.
Did I make it in time?
Thebacklash.net.
Awesome. Perfect. I have to stop drinking so much tea during the podcast or coffee. I'm not going to blame Above Time Coffee Roasters for this, though.
No, blame my wife. Let's start off. We got some super chats from Queensboro Bridge Enjoyer, sent $10. Blonde, I agree with you at least 99% of the time. This is a serious follow-up to a past Rebecca's rant after the hysterical reaction from the homely feminist hordes to the ICE shooting. Do you still think women should have the right to vote?
I famously don't think that women should have the right to vote.
Yeah, that's weird. You don't vote.
I don't vote.
We need to change that in this primary, though.
Fine.
I'll tell you who to vote for.
So my contractor, who is great, it's so hard to find a great contractor. I decided to take a call with you on speakerphone the other day.
Whoops.
Mistake.
Yeah.
I just assumed he had Googled me. And then he was like,
oh boy.
What? So he's been listening to the podcast. And like every morning he comes in and he just wants to talk to me about some shit that I said.
I'm sorry.
No. I mean, he's like
fault.
mostly on the page.
Yeah.
But I think that the Jew stuff is really freaking him out.
Yeah. Well, he'll go through his own.
I told him that I believe in him.
Yeah.
I'm like, you'll get there.
He'll get to the other side. Queensboro Bridge Enjoyer sent $10. While I do not agree with most of Nixon's policies, his secret recordings are more relevant than ever. The Billy Graham tapes, conversations with the U.S. president, the most prominent U.S. religious leader, are invaluable in demonstrating real power. Part 2, $10 from Queensboro Bridge Enjoyer. In private, the most powerful politician in the world, along with the most influential Protestant leader, both were clearly terrified of one specific group, and they admit that they were helpless against them. Does a better demonstration of real power exist?
No.
And we've played that before on this show. I don't know if we're already running a little long. I won't play it again. Maybe I'll do a Dave After Dark about it at some point. But yeah, Nixon, he knew what was going on with Bernstein and all the people at Watergate. Yeah. I mean, I'm pretty sure that the whole Watergate thing happened because he ordered the FBI to raid a prominent member of the B'nai B'rith. And that's what set off this whole cascading chain of events that led to Watergate. So, yeah, go listen to the Nixon tapes if you haven't already. Jimmy C sent $10. I got the book that you sent from the giveaway. Thanks.
Yay.
The beach nut box was the icing on the cake. Have you thought about maybe a VFW or American Legion as a venue?
That's a good idea.
Yeah, you could try.
I'll put up a new poll. I had no idea that it was going to be so difficult. Just the venue portion.
I think people want to come to Idaho. I think people want to come and frolic in the woods and go for a nice ride on the lake.
It's difficult to get here.
It's not that difficult to get here. What are you talking? Spokane's 30 minutes away. We'll rent a bus.
Also, is Cameron going to come?
I'll drive the bus. Maybe it'll be a short bus and I'll drive it.
Oh, that's fitting.
Oh, man. Clempath sent $300.
Thank you so much.
Holy cow. Thank you for the big super chat. Been watching you for years. Never donated, so trying to make up to you with this compensation. Absolutely love you, Blonde, and have been watching you since episode 0 of Beauty and Beta Stein. Cameron is a true servant, and Dave is good at being Catholic.
Thank you so much.
Living up to
10
the
years
super
on my
chat.
podcast.
Is that what your show was called? Beauty and the Beta?
For a while, it was, yes. And then
God.
it was changed to the Matt and Blonde show. And then he ended up, fundamentally being a true beta. Who would have thought?
He was okay with being the beta
This
on the
was
show?
his idea. I didn't pitch this to him.
And wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, 2017 was a different time.
It was a different time.
No, it wasn't.
My handle on X used to be Libtard America.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
That was
funny.
my first handle on X.
Somebody should re-register that and bring it back.
I know, right? But yes, I have been on this platform for 10 years.
Libtard America is almost better than Libs of TikTok.
Yeah. Maybe I should have kept it, but I was like, this is gay.
You can get them. There's a new feature, I guess. You can poach other people's handles now.
And so I changed it to Blonde's tweets, and then friggin' Elon Musk had to rebrand to X.
Yeah.
Whatever, Blonde's tweets. Find
It
me
is
there.
what it is. And I'm always going to call
Blonde's
it Twitter.
_tweets.
John sent $10. The ICE shooting is a disaster. Not only do we have right-wingers cheering on a Zogbot shooting a white woman because he lost his temper, it created a martyr for the left. They need to just deport as many people as possible, as quietly as possible.
It's not a disaster. I'm sorry, Dave. You go first, please.
I was just going to say no-knock raids at 3 a.m. would definitely be better than, getting the entire city of Minneapolis out protesting.
But they're doing this for the optics. Now I feel insecure every time I say optics, since we talked to
Thomas Rousseau.
Thomas Rousseau, right? But they are doing it for the optics. They're doing it for the feeling of a win without any real meat.
How many have we even deported?
I think 600,000.
Get out.
I don't know.
It's not enough. It's not enough.
This is just the beginning, folks. This is just the beginning, and I there's always good and bad, always. Maybe that's the Eastern philosopher in me, but what you're seeing in the Trump administration is a government sort of trying to get a sense of how to actually use executive authority, and I have emphasized for a long time 3 words, ladies and gentlemen: unitary executive theory. That's where we are headed. And the worse it gets in the short term, the stronger it will get in the long term. So this is actually a good thing. And it's inevitable. It's inevitable, right? We've had 50 years of negligence, 50 years of an absent state. So of course there's going to be collateral damage. But the direction of travel is to empower the government that reflects our interest to restore law and order in the United States. That's where we're headed.
Yeah, I think there's something to be said for the accelerationism angle of this thing. It's things are accelerating. Book Track Groove sent $10. Listen to the progressive light people.
Yeah.
They are invested in the ICE situation, even ones that focus on non-politics. They accuse you of looking for an excuse for ICE, but they want them gone for any reason. Yeah, these people are Bolsheviks. They are anarchists, and not in the dignified sense of the term. I get it that there is like a version of anarchy, like especially up here in North Idaho. There's kind of people that are more anarchist-leaning, anarcho-capitalist. That's not what this is. This is just like fraud and flood the country. They hate white people. They hate men. They hate the church. They hate God. They want chaos. Yeah, I don't know, man.
Look, Dave, I'm sorry, please finish.
They should all be, the people in Minneapolis, in my opinion, the people that are out protesting, they should all be rounded up, charged with felony obstruction, and never allowed to vote ever again.
Yeah.
That would fix this problem like that. But they won't.
That's where we're headed. That's where we're headed. And I said what I did earlier about direct experience, because when you have direct experience, you can sort of, a lot of the ideas that you express, they cease to be abstract. I was in Hong Kong in 2019, and in 2019, there were massive protests in that city. And Hong Kong's a giant city. It's like the size of New York, okay? There were millions of people, in some cases, on the street. And I'm not going to get into the details because frankly, they don't matter. But the protesters, who initially had a lot of organic support, they destroyed shit. They disrupted traffic. They pissed people off. They cost people business. And eventually what happened is that the business community, and I would argue a lot of the regular citizens in Hong Kong, they got tired of it. And they said, enough is enough. And then the crackdown came. That's what's going to happen in the United States, folks. We're just not there yet. But eventually, the population, and remember, it's a white country. It is, even now, we demand law and order. It's all fine and good to protest for rights and all this other shit, as long as you're not doing it in my backyard, as long as you're not affecting my front lawn. But the minute you do, you're going to piss me off, and then I'm going to demand that the cops throw your ass in jail.
Oh, yeah.
And as Dave said, that's where we're headed.
True. By the way, I just checked. It is 5 a.m. in Tehran right now.
I know.
So I would think that there's probably not going to be a strike tonight. It would come.
It'd probably be
next
like
day.
3 a.m.
But also like, putting on the prediction hat, the last couple of times Trump has done stuff, it's always been on a Friday after the markets have closed, so that it doesn't do anything wonky with the global financial markets. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. Keep an eye on it. Maybe Friday's the day. Maybe Friday at 5 p.m. New York time, they go in with bombs. Who knows? Just putting that out there. Tomahawk sent $10. These open borders idiots wouldn't think twice about calling the police if a criminal was breaking into their own home.
There it is. Yep.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh my gosh. Alfred Bester sent $11. Clearly, in an ideal world, Paul Ryan should be president, and he and others were culturally destroyed by Democrats. Trump is immune to cultural attack. He's there because he's the better leadership candidate, because the better leadership candidates were shamed and humiliated. Paul Ryan?
Paul Ryan. Yeah. I had totally forgotten about him.
Bro, he's got such a mousy face.
He was worthless.
Yeah. No, I just don't see him as the man, because we need a leader. We need a Caesar. We need a guy that's willing to cross the Rubicon. And Trump seemed like that's who he was in 2016. That's why we voted for him.
Yeah.
And now it's like a sunk cost type of thing. And,
Yes.
And that person ain't J.D. Vance either, by the way. J.D. Vance is not going to save the country. I don't even think he's going to win in 2028.
What about J.D. Vance dance? Maybe he can save us.
Have
you seen that meme?
The fat curly hair?
Makes me chuckle every time.
Every time.
Love it. David C. sent $25. Thank you for the big super chat. Congress is now simply funding their special interest groups through earmarks to avoid Doge cuts entirely. We need to get the Backlash and similar setups a few mil in earmarks.
Ugh, yeah, seriously.
Hey, listen, I've long said if any of these agencies want to start funding us, I'm kidding, but really, send us money.
I see how it happens, man, because it's a grind without institutional investment.
Oh, yeah.
And they're like, just cover this one story and we'll give you I'd have to think long and hard about it. But you can trust us because
we're poor.
Because we're poor.
Yeah, and by the way, take a look at the new thumbnail tonight. We've been experimenting with some new technology. And Blonde has some nice fake AI Chanel earrings on.
I did. I told Grok specifically. I'm like, I like that one, but can you add
Chanel earrings?
And I think it really delivered.
I think it was good.
It's based on a real photo.
Oh my God.
He got such a kick out of that. I'm like, why is
AI
this so funny?
Anonymous sent $10. Love the show, guys. Dave, I'm disappointed in your take re Nick and Epstein. Are you unaware of the children found in the files, or are you simply indifferent? God forbid. Appreciate the content, but hearing that was disheartening.
Unaware of the children. There were children found in the files. I am unaware of anybody that was younger than 16.
Okay, so when I saw that come in, I did some Googling, and it does appear as though one of the first victims was 14.
Oof.
Now, we're splitting hairs. It's legalism, but that's technically not pedophilia. Pedophilia is prepubescent.
Yeah.
And Epstein was not doing that.
That being said,
he should have been hung legally. He should not have been hung the way that he was in his jail cell by God knows who. Donald Barr. Did Donald Barr go in and string him up? Like, who knows?
Yeah. So 14-year freshman in high school. Dude, I was getting hit on by grown men when I was a freshman in high school all the time.
It's not good. Okay, so yeah, take that all with a grain of salt here. But again, the issue is that he was running guns and drugs during the Iran-Contra situation.
Yes.
He was almost single-handedly responsible for the 2008 financial crisis. The amount of crime that Epstein is responsible for is like this, and the amount of stuff with kids under the age of 18 is like that.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
Between the ages of 14 and 18.
Right.
Yeah, but it is important to note, and this relates to what we discuss on this program. What is it that moves people, right? What's that threshold? What's that line that you don't cross? Well, this is one of them, right? Yeah. You mess around with children like that, and you're going to provoke people emotionally. That's why it's so visceral. So while you're correct, Dave, it's also sort of missing the point, right? Is that maybe that's the smaller portion of this portfolio of criminality, but that's the portion that people cannot accept, that they will not tolerate.
That's
period.
True. And I'm fine with that. And I don't want to do anything that has the impression that I'm defending
Right.
like a really dysfunctional satanic Jew.
Sure. I totally agree with that. There's, we talk about like having a strategic lack of silver and other rare earth minerals. We also have a lack of millstones in this country. A lot of people need to get a certain treatment.
Oh, really? Do you know who you
Legally.
sound like?
Legally.
Old helter-skelter Aussie over there.
Veteran 1996 sent $12. Cam has mega TDS.
Oh, I thought that said mega AIDS.
No.
TDS? No. Cameron is, all of our approach on Donald Trump, I think, has been very fair. I don't know what to say.
And look at our first episode, Hopium, right?
Yeah.
Like Vince and I were like, let's give this guy a shot. And then it's like within 3 weeks, it's like, nah, fuck this.
And my videos from 2016, you can go back and look at how much I believed in, respected, and truly loved Donald Trump. All right. It's a difficult thing to lose social power and to face all of the social repercussions for supporting Donald Trump, and then to be like, actually,
yeah,
you're a piece of shit. That's a painful realization. I was wrong. Saying you were wrong is hard.
Oh,
yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Well, there is, look, there is some truth in that statement. I don't know who made that comment, but there is some truth in it. And I'll tell you why it really irks me, because, Donald Trump, his mother is Scottish, his father's a German. Donald Trump, in many ways, does embody the United States. He does. He is the sort of fallen WASP elite of sorts, right? And it's not a WASP proper, but the man disgusts me. And just to be clear, I've never liked Donald Trump, ever. I hope that he won in 2016, but I remember somebody very close to me was very enthusiastic about Trump when he won, and I said, look, I'm glad that he won. I'm glad that Hillary Clinton did not. Hillary Clinton's just one of the most corrupt people we've ever had anywhere near the Oval Office, and certainly her husband was. And that's well documented, okay? But I said to this person, I said, Donald Trump is not fit to be president, and his administration is going to be a disaster. I said that in 2016. And why did I say that? Because the man is obviously a narcissist. He's obviously corrupt. He's obviously an ignorant buffoon. He is in no way, shape, or form an elite. And yet he is, because he's a billionaire. And that enrages me, because we must do better. And I'm so sick of Americans who tell me all the time, but he's a successful businessman. Fuck that. It's bullshit. I don't give a shit how much money you're worth. Who cares? Your value doesn't come from that. It comes from the way you present yourself, the way you're attired, right? Your sense of limitation, your sense of character. And on that scale, Donald Trump is a piece of shit. That's the truth. That is the truth. And we don't need, this disaster in Venezuela or Iran or anything else to see that. Just listen to the man talk. Listen to the way he treats his subordinates in government. And that reflects the culture of this country at the highest levels. That's why I have TDS. That's why I despise the man, because he represents a kind of culture, an elite cadre that must be destroyed and invalidated, period.
Tell us what you're really thinking.
Yeah, really. Of course, Cameron's right.
Let me start it from the beginning.
No. Big Mad Lad sent $10. It's so infuriating that venues won't allow white interest group events, and there is no recourse. But Jewish or black groups can get any venue that they want and sue and win millions if they're ever denied.
Absolutely.
Very true. It's been this way for a long
honestly,
time.
I haven't been saying that like it's a white pod. I haven't been saying any of that shit. I'm just saying that it's a conservative panelist discussion. And they're
all
like,
no.
Get wrecked.
Yeah, well, libtard land. Oh, we're going to need to do it in like a state park.
Oh, come
I'm
on.
telling you, state parks are great. Beautiful. Reinhardt sent $25. Dave, you will need to steel your nerves to tolerate a certain amount of ruthlessness and even cruelty. The process of saving this nation is not going to be perfect. It's going to look like every other war in our history. True. But
right.
Have you read David Irving's book, Hitler's War? Right? Have you?
Mm-mm.
Have you, Cam?
I have not. I have not.
Everybody in the audience needs to read Hitler's War because it's like incredible what we are told about history, what we think about history, that like he was this genocidal maniac that absolutely hated a certain group of people and all of this stuff. Go Google the telegram that Hitler sent on the night of Kristallnacht. He said, "What the fuck are you doing? Cut this shit out right now. No one touch any of this shit. Stop immediately." So I'm just saying, like, these excesses happen, and a good leader will be there to pull it back and restrain and enact what is actually just.
But again, you know, don't lose sight of the context, right? What came before that?
Yeah, true.
Collapse. The collapse. Of Germany. Right? The financial collapse, the economic collapse, the cultural collapse, and then a battle in the street. Don't forget that. Right? So you're talking about the after effects when the German people were finally ready, right? They were finally ready to construct, to rebuild. But unfortunately, you got to go through that earlier stage that Reinhard is talking about. He's right. You're right too, Dave. You're right. You're 100% right. And you and I have talked about this before. And it is our job to sort of steady the ship through that process. But make no mistake, it's going to get ugly. No question.
Big Mad Lad sent 10. I don't even want to read this one. Big Mad Lad sent $10. I'm going to need to get my head uninflated. This is not okay. This is the best podcast out there by far. Even Dave Moggs Fuentes. Really hope iHypocrite moves his ass out there and joins you too. I do not mog Fuentes. Not by any stretch.
He's the order
I don't
of
even know what that means.
Just saying. Mog? You don't know what mogging is?
Cameron hates us.
Bro, you gotta get with it. You are like,
no.
He is unk. He is definitely
The best part about Cameron is that he doesn't subscribe to any of this youthful, like the fact that we adopt some Gen Z slang is really not befitting our age group.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I mean, I hang out with like.
I don't think there's anything wrong with using it. I just don't know what it means because I don't spend any time on Twitter.
So mog, is there an urban dictionary? We're gonna pull it up. Mogging urban dictionary.
I think it makes us look older, Dave.
What, to pull it up on Urban Dictionary?
No, just like using these. Like before I left, I was
possible.
like, "Is this outfit giving pirate?" And then I was like, "Nope, I'm too old to."
Now that you mention it. Mogging is internet slang popularized on TikTok for one person dominating or outclassing another in looks, status, wealth, or physique, essentially looking significantly better or superior in comparison. So if it's like you standing next to a fat slob, you mog the fat slob. Clavicular mogs, Fuentes mogs. Matt Walsh is mogged by Fuentes.
Yeah,
right.
This
like,
makes you look 50 that you're explaining this.
All right.
Cameron is right to just be like, I'm not doing any of this shit.
Moving on. I think we had some other super chats. This one's coming from Christian Secor, who was just on the show.
No way.
Yes. He said, Franco was magnanimous. Today, Spain is run by leftists. They exhumed his grave and made Spain closer to the Third Republic. Meanwhile, the Bolsheviks extricated enemy classes from the face of the earth, and the USSR still colors RF. Revenge has a purpose.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and it's crazy. There's a big fight over there right now for the Valley of the Fallen, where like over 200 recognized martyrs of the Catholic Church and these leftists want to exhume their graves, destroy the cross, and erase that place
That
from
is
Spain.
psychotic.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy. That's what. Remember Isabella Peralta, the young Spanish woman who got thrown in jail for giving the Franco salute? That's what they were there protesting
She's not
against.
still in jail, is she?
No. She's out. She's with that group Nucleo Nacional now. And by the way, I've been talking with some of those guys. I want to get them on, but they're all Spanish speakers, and I don't no se habla español, so it's difficult, and I don't have a translator.
Well, and you know, Dave, being the Catholic that you are, let's not forget about about the precedent of the Jesuits, and the Jesuits were no shrinking violets, right? So again, there's no nobility in playing by the rules in a rigged game.
Yeah.
I said this a few weeks ago. And this is the game that Tucker Carlson, a lot of these people play. Well, I'm above identity politics. Okay. Well, then you've lost. Then you lost the plot, dude. Then you're talking about a country that doesn't fucking exist. We don't live in that fantasy world. We live in the real world where people are tribal, where politics is identity, where everything that we identify as liberalism or Whiggism is the product of white peoples, primarily from Northern Europe and specifically from the British fucking Isles. There's a reason why the rest of the world doesn't look that way, dude. Wake up.
Bro, I love Cam when he's a little,
I know, when he's a
sleep
little
deprived.
tired,
Yeah. Alfred Bester sent $11. Did Matt ever tell you why he renamed it from Beauty and the Beta to the Matt and Blonde Show? To me, it seemed to co-align with Matt starting to believe his own press, but I could be wrong about that.
Yeah, he said it was emasculating, which it was.
He chose it.
But he chose it, right?
Alfred Bester also sent $12. I remember Cam talking about frame control. Trump might seem like an idiot, but there has yet to be a Democrat that can match him in frame control. When those New York journos were... when those New York journos were talking with him, he was batting away their frame. Cameron, do you have anything?
Is there anything about Donald Trump, anything that could possibly be associated with the word control?
No.
Does it strike you that his administration is under control?
No.
Right? I mean, which leader of which country has he threatened this week or this hour? Which member of his own government has he beclowned or belittled this hour? No, it is an erratic mess because the president is a thin-skinned, narcissistic bully, which is exactly what you saw in that interaction with Jerome Powell. Look, folks, you got to let go of this notion that everybody in power is some kind of idiot savant. If they look unpracticed, if they look imprecise, if they look confused, it's because they are. Let go of this fantasy. No, man, it's all part of the plan. It's four-dimensional chess. Shut the fuck up. It's not. That's a load of shit. And you're about to see that exposed, right? This is one of the reasons I don't like debating these people on Twitter or elsewhere, because it's a pointless exercise. There's one guy in particular. I'm not going to name him because there's no point. But a number of people in our audience have said, "Oh, you need to check his material out." I tried to watch one of this guy's videos. I tried to sit there and listen, and he was talking about Venetian bankers and their connection to Donald Trump, and that means it's all part of the plan.
This is Robert Zaffer.
What the hell are you talking? When you have to massage your argument, move goalposts, come up with a wilderness of mirrors to defend a position, that means your position is bullshit. The reason why Trump's administration looks screwed up is because it is.
Oh man, who's that guy? There's this one guy, and I forget his name. I would otherwise name drop him, but he goes around on the podcast circuit and he's got this thesis that Donald Trump is going after the you know what I'm saying? He's really going to dismantle the London Central Bank, the Crown. He's going against blah blah blah. And I'm just it's 2026. This is not happening.
This is not happening. What are you doing?
Not what is going on. What are you talking? I remember.
Wasn't that QAnon?
He smokes
Wasn't
cigars.
That QAnon
Yeah. It's the guy that smokes cigars all the time. He's bald. He's got a beard.
Robert Barnes?
No. Son of a bitch. I forget his name. I'll have to look it up and post about it later.
Someone is saying Sepher?
Robert Zeffer. No, it's not Robert Zeffer.
I know the name. There's no need to
he knows.
He's a smart guy. He's just living in a fantasy world, as are many MAGA people out there who think this way. And it's sad. It's very sad because your president is bought and paid for. It's very obvious. Yeah. Pay attention.
Yep. Thank you for the big super chat, Alfred. Sorry for shitting on you. Anonymous sent $5. Here we go. Trans women are women.
$10 and up on the Wednesday.
We're not twinks on estrogen. Women who are socialized male, drag queens, or cross-dressers or femboys, just women. Who the fuck sent us that?
$10 and up.
Bro, it's so funny. We've got somebody like saying trans women are women on our podcast. Like,
are you lost?
Alfred said $12. I don't think I mentioned 5-dimensional chess. But good show tonight.
Thank you
so much for the big super chat. Blonde, you've got super chats over on yours.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't have that prepared. Because our show was an hour longer than I was expecting.
I've got a few over here on Entropy. Kurgan 86 cents, $75.
Hey, thanks, buddy.
Replay gang here. Rebecca, if you could get Devin to make an appearance at the meetup, it would definitely be interested in coming.
Dude, let me tell you something about Devin. I can't make Devin do shit. I can't make him answer me. So he won't answer me for like a month, and then it'll just be like a block of text about his bees or some shit.
Just send him one of those AI images with those Chanel earrings.
He'll be like, that's AI.
Judge Lot sent $25. I'm kind of a fag, but here's some change. I'm interested in the meetup event, though.
Cool. Yeah,
Very
we'll
good.
keep you guys posted. You know, this is a developing thing that I've never done before. So, be kind to me.
And Rivers of Blood sent $25. Dave, your mischaracterization of Randy Weaver's declaring war on the feds is incorrect, as Randy's family wanted nothing to do with the federal government.
Truth.
True. You're right about that. My apologies. As an aside, have you checked your Twitter accounts to see that they're censored? In Grok, you can write get semantic contextual scoring OHIV3 for your account at XYZ.
No way.
Yeah, I've done it. I'm fine. I'm clear. I'm good to go.
Really? I'll do it after the show.
So that's clearly a failure on my part. I should be posting harder. But yeah, I'm also thinking about doing an entire episode on the Randy Weaver thing.
Oh, yeah.
Because he's been coming up a lot. Actually, just this week, the Idaho GOP passed unanimously a resolution calling for the full posthumous pardon of Randy Weaver and
no freaking way
calling on the prosecution of Lon Haruchi for murder. And they sent a letter to the Boundary County Prosecutor's Office to have the charges drawn up. We'll see if that
Wouldn't
happens.
that be crazy?
But based.
Yeah.
Very based. And they're also going to go hard as fuck on immigration. This legislative
I'm sure
session.
Sarah Weaver would be thrilled.
Yeah, keep your eyes out. I'm planning on doing a Dave After Dark this week. I want to teach all of you guys that are interested in how to keep an eye on your legislatures, how to find out what bills are coming up, how to testify on bills, how to be like a watchdog for your state. Because every state, they have to publish the legislation before it passes. And not enough of our people are engaged at that local level. We like to, bitch and moan on X, but very few of us have ever gone to our local legislature's website and reviewed that, their schedules, their committee hearings. So I'm going to teach you guys how to do some of that. Fingers crossed this Friday.
Are you good over there?
Yes.
Agent K says, before fleeing to a more conservative state, maybe consider why the state is conservative in the first place and plan to change yourself. Yes, please. Arthur Burns, Jerome Powell is a man after my own heart.
Based.
I guess. Mart Hart, big fan. Happy I found y'all. Question, isn't it controlled unwinding collapse of MMT and fiat on our terms and at a time of our choosing better than waiting for the inevitable black swan that destroys the system? I would say that we are engaging in some kind of economic control by buying and holding physical silver. I mean, it's screwing up the economy. I think that's probably the best. That's probably the best we can do. Dave is over here champing at the bit to talk about Bitcoin.
No, I'm not. Somebody super chatted the name of the guy I was thinking of, and that is in fact the guy that I was thinking. It's only $5 though, so we're not going to read his name out.
But if anyone wants to opine on this,
nobody is planning on demolitioning the financial system. That is the most absurd nonsense that I've heard in a long time. I hear it. I hear it often too. If you look at the people advising Donald Trump, Howard Lutnick, the Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, Stephen Witkoff, Jared Kushner, what do they all have in common? They're billionaires. How did they get that way? The financial system. Nobody wants to destroy the cash cow. And all the steps that they've taken have been to retrench the financial system. The reason why it's crumbling is because of the debt, is because we're out of productivity, folks. There are no answers, and they don't know what else to do. And in some cases, this is also true. They don't perceive the imminent danger. That's why Liberation Day happened last April, because Howard Lutnick, and I suppose to a lesser extent, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent and probably others in the administration said, yeah, everybody around the world needs dollars, and they need dollars more than anything else. There are a lot of monetary experts, people that I respect, that actually believe that. Now, I think the evidence is overwhelming that that is no longer the case. And I think that's part of the reason gold and silver have exploded in price. But again, things that are obvious to you guys are not obvious to people in positions of power. And I want to give you one example here. Howard Lutnick, and I've talked about this before, when he joined the administration, he bought a $25 million house from Brett Baer in Washington, D.C.
Right, yeah.
Now, if you're buying $25 million houses, do you worry about the cost of eggs?
Nope.
No, you don't know anything about that. You have no concept of cost of living expenses. And that's the world that Donald Trump, that's the world that his children live in. That's the world that Howard Lutnick and Stephen Witkoff and Jared Kushner, that's the world these people live in. A lot of them travel by limousine or they fly in helicopters around. You have to understand that when you're operating at that level, you're out of touch. You don't understand what's going on at the basic level. And I'll give you one more example. Part of the reason Bill Clinton won the election in 1992, and I'm dating myself a little bit here too, but George H.W. Bush went into a grocery store. You guys probably remember this. And he'd never seen an electronic scanner before. And he stood there and he looked like a total fucking idiot because he had no idea what he was looking at. Why? Because he's up here. He's not down here. And the public was aghast. They're like, how can this guy be president? He doesn't even know how a grocery store actually functions. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, that's how a lot of elites function in the world today in the West. They don't know what's going on. They've enriched themselves and their idiot kings or their idiot offspring. They have no idea either. This is why the institutions are crumbling. They're mismanaged. It's not because they're planning everything. That's not what's happening.
Got a lot of super or rumble rants over here too. I don't think you're done yet though.
Oh, just one more. John Chandler. Dave, what is your opinion about Malachi Martin? Have you read Windswept House?
Yeah, I read Windswept House over a decade ago. It's been a long, long time. It's a good book. But Malachi Martin, he's an interesting character. There's a lot of different takes on him. There's one opinion that he was actually an Israeli or Jewish agent at Vatican II. He worked in Cardinal Bea's office, and of course, that's where we got Nostra Aetate from. And then after instituting all of these liberal reforms at Vatican II, he comes out and, he appears to be the leader of the traditionalist movement and makes everything about the liturgy and never says anything about how the church changed its teaching on the Jews, very conspicuously. So there is an article, I've held it up before, from Look magazine called How the Jews Changed Catholic Thinking. And in that article, it basically doxes Malachi Martin as the guy behind Nostra Aetate. So definitely a mixed bag, limited hangout type of thing. And, all of his books are, there's a word for it where it's like faction, where it's fact mixed with fiction. He changes people's names. And so it just really muddies the waters, and it makes it very difficult for a historical account of what actually took place at Vatican II. So those are my thoughts. I would defer to somebody that's more well-versed on like Stephen Cox or Matt Gaspers. If they have any opinions on Malachi Martin, I would probably defer to them.
All right. Before we get to this group of Rumble, Cameron, you got to go to bed. Go to bed. Oh, we lost his audio.
He said it's okay. I can lip read.
It's okay.
Real
Keep going.
Starfish Prime sent $10 blonde. Cans are looking great as usual. Dave, please accept these shekels towards some professional looking headphones. Also, Above Time Coffee is awesome.
My favorite super chats are the ones that are a compliment to me and a criticism to you.
That's good. More. Send more. These are some of the most professional headphones that you could... Wow, it sounds totally different when you're not wearing them. These are some of the most professional headphones money can buy. These are the Bayer Dynamic DT770s. It's what I used to wear when I was working in the recording studios in Boston, New York. I'm gonna keep the I would get in-ears. I wouldn't be opposed to
Those
that.
are hella expensive.
But they are hella... Oh, these? Yeah, these are like 500 or
Not anymore.
They came down. Yeah. $200 pair of headphones.
Yeah.
Not bad. Yeah. Anyway, Book Track Roof sent $10. What score did the horse get in his exam? Hey, plus. Bring back fistcuffs and duels. Blonde, what is your bingo card for the year?
We actually talked about this at the end of the year episode, but I talked about Iran and Venezuela, and look,
it happened.
All in January, so we'll see.
Book Track Roof sent another $10. The logistics of this republic, if people make phone calls, mayor and sheriff meetings in 2 hours, county rep 2H, Congress rep 2H, governor rep 2H, judges 2H, and president 5H.
Listen, Book Track Grooves, I love you and you support the show a lot, and I really appreciate that, but I have no idea what the fuck you're talking about ever. I never know what you're talking about. I always have to pretend like I know what you're talking about, and I don't, and I'm tired of it. And so I just assume that you were a non-English speaker, right?
He's not.
But you are.
He called me the other night. He speaks English great.
I don't get it.
He's in he's out there. I don't want to die.
But what is all this spurgy? I just stay focused. Focus, Book Track Grooves. Thank you for your support and focus.
Glam Drink sent $10. Something for the tip jar. Stay awesome, guys.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Book Track Grooves sent $20. Dave, screenshot software and X download software. Thank you for checking in. Australia now do check. Republic. Bunny, 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 bunny. Blonde, we need references page and admonish button.
See? What? Am I crazy? These are totally nonsensical.
This is what he wrote. How many bunnies? Bunny, 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 bunny. You're not on screen.
Dude.
Get it together. Get it together, man. The Winged Hussar sent $10. Young did not liken Hitler to a reincarnation of Odin, but he did have some interesting writings about how that archetype was like calling in an animal from the wild that was out of control. Oh. True. Yeah, the little ones. They need dinner. Thunderstorm 9 sent $10. Hi, not destroying enemies set on destroying you is suicidal, not moral superiority. It's vault dweller thinking. Yeah, true. I mean, and that's why I'm like, I think that these ice raids, they just need to crack the fuck down on these people.
Yeah, but do it or don't do it. Half measures avail you nothing.
Did that. Okay, now we are all caught up on Rumble. Sorry, every now and again, the API breaks. It like works for a little while and then it breaks.
I think we're good. Sorry for the inadvertently long show. We're testing out a new format. I'll be fail today. Absolute failure.
No, today was good.
It was
good. We're going to take all of the segments. We're going to clip them out individually and upload them to the YouTube channel, see how they do on their own.
Yes.
Some people can't stay for like a full 2 or 3 hour episode.
3 hours and 7 minutes is the show runtime right now.
3 hours and 3 minutes.
Oh, man. A big thanks to our sponsors. A thank you to Cameron for staying up so late. We really appreciate it. We love all of you. Get in touch with me on blondes_tweets to help me brainstorm this event, which is going to happen. Follow us on X at Real Backlash. Find all of our platforms on thebacklash.net/subscribe, and we will see you on Monday. Bye-bye.